All right, I've got new tour dates to let you know about. Oklahoma City, North Little Rock, Springfield, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, La Crosse, Wisconsin, Green Bay, Moline, Illinois, Colorado Springs, Colorado, Casper, Wyoming. I'm excited to get up there. Billings, Montana, Missoula, Montana, Bloomington, Indiana, Columbus, Ohio, Champaign, Illinois, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Lafayette, Louisiana, and Beaumont, Texas. All tickets available through theovon.com/TOUR. Make sure to go through there so you are getting directly priced tickets. Make sure you're not at a secondhand site. And thank you so much for your support. We're excited to come visit. Today's guest is a filmmaker, writer, speaker, comic book aficionado. You know him from his films, Clerks, Mallrats, Jay and Silent Bob, Dogma, Tusk, and the list goes on. He has a new film out now called The 4:30 Movie, loosely based on his childhood in New Jersey. I'm thankful to spend time today with Mr. Kevin Smith.
I'll be
Sharp.
right here. Yeah, look at me. I'm in fucking monochrome.
Is that what that print is?
Black and white.
Oh, monochrome is black and white. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, I've heard of it before.
Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
you have.
But yeah.
You're a smart guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a dumb. Yeah, I'm a. Yeah, I mean, I'm.
Yeah, don't sweat. You knew monochrome. It's just one of those things you didn't need, and then it happened, and then you're like, why didn't I? But you did.
Yeah.
I've seen you speak. You're no dummy.
Yeah, it was always in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably used it. You probably busted it once or twice in your life.
Oh, I've definitely. I mean, I've been involved in some it's not It's like the most racial of screens. If it's monochrome, right? It's black and white, kind of. It's the apartheid
Binary.
of print.
Yeah. I scream it when I come. I'm like, monochrome. Because Clerks was in black and white.
Yeah.
So everything ties back to Clerks.
Oh.
Only Clerks. The only way I could come now is thinking of Clerks.
Well, I love the Mallrats shoes, man. Those are that's
Thank
really
you.
cool.
Did we start?
Yeah, we'll start. Who made those?
Are we started?
Yeah, we can. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally cool. Modern podcasting, I've not gotten the hang of. Like, we started back in like 2007. We were doing Smodcast.
Smodcast, yeah.
And there was always like, welcome to Smodcast. I'm Kevin Smith. I'm Scott Mosier. So there was an official beginning. But lately, any podcast I've been on, you're just bullshitting, and all of a sudden, you're 5 minutes into a conversation. I'm like, oh, I bet you we started and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's like, I think sometimes some places things are a little more formal. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like if I say start, then it doesn't go as, I don't know. I mean, you're a director. What is that like? If you say,
well, it depends who you ask.
I don't know.
I like to think of a director, but you go on the internet, they'll tell you a lot fucking different. He was a director maybe once in his fucking first movie. Every day online, somebody tells me I'm terrible at my job. For the last 30 years that I've been doing the job. You know what that's like.
Yeah.
What were you? Maybe you don't. You're like, I've never gotten a bad fucking review. Do you dig into your comments?
Yeah, no, we don't. I don't dig into too much, man. I was actually talking Joe Rogan. I spoke with him recently, and he was saying, don't read the good shit, don't read the bad shit.
Bro, are we going to start dropping names this early in the podcast? I mean, you just whipped that out like a cock.
Yeah.
Like, fucking, who are you, Louis C.K.? I wasn't ready for that. All of a sudden, we're talking Joe Rogan and shit? No, are you a Joe Rogan guy? Like, are you guys tight and whatnot?
I
haven't been on his
friends.
show since he moved to Austin. Not because I'm like, fuck him, but Austin's pretty fucking far. But wait a second.
Yeah, it's far.
What? Why are we here? Like, I thought you were a Nashville person. Or
I live in Nashville, yeah. But we kept our studio here, and so sometimes we tape here.
So you live in Do you live in Nashville?
I live in Tennessee, yeah, full time.
Where in Tennessee?
I live just like right outside of the city. I live kind of by like Lipscomb High School.
So you live near Nashville?
Yeah, yeah.
I fuck with Tennessee a lot. They like us there quite a bit. Like I was just in Kingsport because we did the Smoky Mountain Fan Fest, and then like a month before that, I was in Knoxville. Like anytime I go out and do shows, that's generally a place that I've always wound up. I was in. Can I tell you a fucking story real quick? So I was in Kentucky. I went and did a show in Lexington.
Lexington's awesome.
Beautiful, right? So I'm vegan. I hate saying that because everyone's like, "Fuck you!" Now I'm eating twice as much meat. And I'm like, "All right, that's on you."
Yeah, people don't. Yeah,
They get
people,
tight, but I went vegan because I
it's like
almost
being stomach gay or whatever.
I had a heart attack 6.5 years ago, so I wound up going vegan, and it helped. Used to be happy, now I'm fucking vegan. So it's just part of, it's just what I do. But I don't try to push it on people and shit like that. Like when I started smoking weed back in the day, I was definitely like proselytizing for that. Like, oh my God, you should try this. Veganism, I don't proselytize for because people get really triggered by the word. Now, if somebody's like, hey man, how'd you lose that fucking weight? Or, some people have been like, you fucking Ozempic bitch. I'm like, no, fuck. I went vegan after my heart attack. That's how the weight went away. Not because I necessarily tried, although I do now fucking walk over 10,000 steps a day. But, I was like, I don't want to die. So let me try this. And I thought I'd do it for a few months and then go back. And then I never went back.
Being vegan, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you still have houseplants if you're a vegan, or is that like a weird?
Absolutely. Number one, I'm sure I am on some level an ethical vegan who should think about that. Like I do love animals, so I'm sure that's some part of why it's easy for me to be vegan. But I was not one of those, like, I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. I did it to save my fucking life. And it worked out and shit. So even if I was like, fuck a house plant, I'd still go vegan. Where are we going with that house plant thing though?
Oh, I just didn't know if you were like a plant, if you only eat, because vegan means you can only eat plants.
Is the idea that, I'm plant-based.
Okay.
So is the idea that if I can't have a plant-based because I'm like, well, this is my friend, but I'm going to eat him.
Well, it would just seem like they would catch on.
It'd be like having a fish tank and being a person that eats
and
fish.
being a pescatarian.
And shit like that.
Yeah, I guess I was like, at some point that they're going to catch on. That, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be like, this guy's playing both sides of the net.
And the plants are going to start leaning more out and shit. Get defensive. That's where the Venus flytrap came from. A plant that was like, I must defend myself against a vegan.
That was one of the first craziest movies that I ever heard of when I was a kid.
Little Shop of Horrors?
Yeah, Little Shop of Horrors. It was like a weird movie.
Musical about like a Venus flytrap.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
The Audrey 2.
And it had a plant that
Plant
could
came
bite
from outer
people.
space though.
Oh, that's
You didn't lose
right.
a lot of sleep over it, did you?
No, I didn't. I wasn't. I don't think it scared me. It was just interesting. It was like a little bit before my time. Like, right. Like we didn't. I don't know if I've ever seen it.
I saw this shit on off Broadway because I grew up like on the East Coast. So
oh, you saw the musical?
yeah, like on stage and shit before it became this musical, which is awesome as well.
Oh, before it became a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So it was a big musical first.
It was
Dang.
off Broadway hit.
You look.
It was a big ass puppet like on stage.
Yeah, there's a
Just
picture of
fun
it
to
right
watch.
there. I guess.
Kind of. There's on stage the ones to the right in that one picture that looks like the stage show. Oh, I forgot. Like again, modern podcast. You guys like have a screen and you spend an inordinate amount of time looking at images and videos and shit. That was something that never occurred to us in 2007.
Yeah, you just had to use your imagination.
Well, we just talked to each other, and
Yeah.
there was also no real video component. Like that was the attraction of doing the podcast. Is like I can just fucking do it, dressed like however I am. It's like voicing animation or something.
Yeah.
But y'all have gotten it down to a fucking science. Like when I went to Tom Segura's place, fucking Joe, of course, and Bert, all y'all have free drinks.
Yeah.
Like I was just out there and they're like, you want water? And that's kind of standard. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll have water. They're like, or would you like Celsius? I was like, what do you mean? And there's a fucking Celsius cooler out there.
Yeah.
That is stock. It's more stock than a 7-Eleven. Whose fucking dick are you sucking to get that much Celsius,
Oh,
man?
dude.
And what am I doing wrong, Theo?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
Is
how come
sucking
I don't
dick
have-
vegan?
It can be.
Okay.
You just don't swallow the meat.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You put it in your mouth, you just don't swallow it. Why on earth can I get this fucking podcast thing down to a science? I'm doing it.
But you were one of the. You were one of the early guys in it.
Do you know what? Here's where I thought, and I've said this on other podcasts, so we'll do other things and shit. Vonward, that's awesome. Like, I thought I was so smart because I was like, oh, we'll do all these podcasts and we give them out for free. And then when I'm in their town doing a live show, that's when they'll buy a ticket because they've gotten all this free. And that was how I was like, and that's how we'll make money on podcasting.
So that was your strategy from the beginning, you're saying?
That was my generation. I mean, it wasn't even my strategy. It was just like, it just started because I was like, this is fucking fun. And me and Mosier were sitting around like goofing off, and having a microphone on fun conversations appealed to me. We always take snapshots of people and whatnot. There are pictures to memorialize a moment, capture a moment. But nobody ever really records a conversation and shit, a normal conversation. If you're on TV, sure. So that's why I loved podcasting, the idea of doing that shit. And then one day, we had a lot of people listen to the podcast, and they were like, my business manager was like, you got a bill for a thing called a server? And it was like really high. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And it turns out podcasting's free for everybody but the fucking podcaster, particularly if people watch the podcast and shit. So we were hosting on our own server. So we had to figure out like, all right, what the fuck? How do we pay for this? And I was like, well, we could do it live. We could start doing live shows. But even before that, like I remember like it was so primitive when we were reverse engineering going like, what did they do in the early days of TV? Like on 21, that game show, they had Geritol like as a sponsor. Maybe we should get an advertiser. Like we've been watching TV our whole lives. But when we were doing the podcast, like it was us going like, perhaps someone will pay us to say things about their product like they did in the 50s.
Just the hard way of learning.
It really was. And it got harder because the sponsor we reached out to, the first sponsor we had was Fleshlight. Like, because they had written me a letter after Zach and Miri Make a Porno, because we had a whole Fleshlight scene. And they were like, hey man, if you ever want to do a Fleshlight, like fucking let us know. And I've still, one day I will do the Kevin Smith's mouth, like fuck him in the mouth, my own Fleshlight.
Yeah.
That, a fan.
Well, then people leaving angry comments can actually take it. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. A fan and an enemy, somebody who hates your shit, fan and a hater could both enjoy that. Like, fuck Kevin Smith. Or, fuck Kevin Smith. So they had written this really lovely letter and filed it away like, oh, that's cute. And
Fleshlight, you mean?
Fleshlight. And then when we needed to pay the server bill and shit, I said to Scott Mosier, I was like, man, what if we reached out to Fleshlight? Like maybe they'll sponsor our few shows if we like, and so they were way into it. Like this was so early in the game. We're talking like 2007, maybe on the cusp of 2008.
Wow. And so
much so that Rogan called me like in 2010 going like, should I fucking use Fleshlight?
Yeah.
And I was like, for your dick? And he goes, no, for the show. And I was like, number one, use it for your dick. It's amazing. I said, number two, definitely use it for the show. And so they started advertising on Joe's show, and then they started selling way more Fleshlights because they'd been with us for like 2 years, and anybody who listened to us is like, we're fucking it already.
Yeah.
It's its own market's got a glass ceiling, so to speak. But once he went to Joe, they shattered the glass ceiling. Joe Rogan shattered the glass ceiling for Fleshlight. There's your fucking headline. That's what you don't get credit for. So
true,
we had to figure that shit out. And then like I remember trying to take it out on a live show. Like I used to do Q&As, just me by myself, evening with Kevin Smith and shit like that.
Yeah.
Kind of close to comedy, but more, I guess nowadays they call it crowd work, where it's like, look, I need you to say something before I could be funny. And so I'd let the audience ask questions, and then I'd go off and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I've seen you guys do live podcasts, and over the years, I mean, obviously seen you do a lot of stuff, but just for the listeners who don't know, a server, it's like where you kind of host your podcast so that it can go out into the world.
So we were just on the server that our files were on and the email.
What is that?
We used for the office. It was the viewskew.com server. So we hosted a website, right? viewskew.com. So because of that, we already had a server up and running. So that's where we started hosting them. We didn't, like now you'd feed them into Apple Podcasts. That shit necessarily didn't exist.
Oh, that's true. That might not even have been there.
I'm telling you, this
so people had to get it like it was almost like a AM or like a CB radio. Like there were probably people listening on CB radios.
We were fucking distributing podcasts via carrier pigeon at that point. Like we would roll up little things to their legs and send them off, and people in other cities would be like, I get it. Dude, it was weird. Going into a comedy club and going like, we want to do a podcast here. Like, because, I toured so much by myself that when I asked my agent at one point, I was like, hey man, me and Moj want to go out and do this podcast in front of people. So can you hook it up? Like in any of the gigs I normally do? But all those places like didn't want to pay me what they normally paid me. They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm sitting next to my friend and we're talking to each other. And they're like, and you're not going to take questions? I was like, no. Maybe, I guess, but that's not really part of the show. They're like, I don't know. That sounds risky. And so we had to fucking do the show for like 70-30 splits, like at very small clubs, because they were like, what do you mean a podcast? Like that kind of shit. So after the first tour, and then we put the shows out, people were like, oh shit, it's fun. And doing it with a live audience was this weird experience, because we'd always done it in a room like this with nobody but each other, entertaining each other. And then suddenly do it in front of people, it's a world of difference.
Yeah. I mean, podcast, the podcast, that was the N word of like whatever, video, audio communication or whatever for a while. Like you wouldn't even say it, or if somebody said it, you were like, this guy's an outlier, or this guy's a pervert or whatever, or, I
think this guy's a pedo.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, oh,
pedo-cast? Is that what you fucking said? Yeah. I remember when we did Tusk.
Yeah, we're here to have you seen all these videos? Every video now online is just like, this guy's here to meet a 14-year-old. You see those videos all the time?
No. Is that right?
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, there's a TV show all about that.
Yeah, but now it's like everybody's a
people are doing it their own
vigilante. It's so rogue. There's an industry.
Who's the guy that does it? What's his name?
Chris Hansen.
Which, to be fair, he's good at it. But
he was the Stan Lee of it.
The Stanley of pedo busting, Chris Hansen. That's what it says. It's Chiron in every TV appearance.
Now it's Kevin, and now it's just, it's people. There's thousands of them that go up all the time. It's just like constantly. Tyrone came to meet a 13-year-old girl. It's always at like a Walmart or something. But yeah, it's a big business now. Or not, I shouldn't say that. It's not a big, but catching these people, baiting them online yourself, people just to create and then get views and stuff like that.
It's a thing. It's a dark world.
But I interrupted you. But that's so wild. I didn't even think.
In Tusk, our main character was a podcaster. Mm-hmm. And there were a bunch of
Haley Joel Osment. Who was it?
Haley and Justin Long was the guy who got turned into a walrus. But when we put the movie out there were some reviews that were like, he has a job I've never heard of before and shit like that. Wow. It was now it feels like, Only Murders in the Buildings is predicated on podcasting.
Yeah.
Podcasting has become absolutely massive. But yeah, I'd never figured out how to make money from it. Certainly not enough to have a fucking Celsius fridge.
Yeah.
What is that all about? How does that happen?
Dude, they mailed it one day, and the guys...
Who's they? I want details, Theo. You can't just fucking gloss over this. Like that's the most impressive thing I've seen in a month.
Lord Celsius, I guess, sent it.
Is that who it was? Yeah. What is he like? You know what? That's bad of me. I'm assuming it's a guy. It could be a lady, but I assume you would have called her Lady Celsius.
Her Majesty. Yeah, I don't know.
Celsius.
I can't imagine.
The Empress Celsius.
Yes, the Empress Celsius. That's who it is.
Fuck all this fooling around. How did you get that free shit? Tell me right now.
We had a sponsorship with them, and then they sent that at some point. And it's kind of like some of the guys have some of the guys can't turn their necks. They've had so much of it. It's fucking.
My kid introduced me to it because she's like, it's vegan. You could drink it. I was like, right on. And
kids are drinking it?
Yeah. She's 25. I guess I don't know if she counts as a kid anymore. But one day she came over and we were recording a podcast. We got podcasts that's dropping on iHeart. It's called Beardless, Dickless Me. I get a free plug. But we were about to record and I cracked a Celsius and she was like, how many of those you've had today? And I was like, this is the 10th. What? And she goes, what are you, fucking nuts? It's an energy drink. And I was like, well, you said it was vegan. She's like, those two things are not mutually exclusive. She's like, you're a fucking heart attack victim. She's like, and then she went online, like the way you guys are like, somebody's in another room fucking looking shit up. She immediately went online. She was like, oh my God, you can't have more than fucking 2 a day. What are you, nuts?
Yeah, they're very
tasty,
strong.
Man. They're good. But they never felt that strong to me. Like I never felt like hyped, but maybe you don't feel it. Maybe that's the thing about a drug, right? I've never been in the throes of drug abuse. Maybe I am, and I don't even fucking know it. I could be enslaved to Celsius.
I never met anybody that's had 10. My friend Brad used to work for a Red Bull, and he would.
You've never met anybody that had 10?
I've never met anybody that's had.
You seem to run into a wild crowd, and you're like, I watch videos that are fucking the dark web and shit, and you've never met anyone that had 10
Not in
Celsius?
1 day. Not even in 1 week. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I have a couple friends that probably have, but we haven't talked about it, I guess. But the one thing that I was thinking about was my friend Brad used to work for Red Bull, and he said at their there's a 1-800 number if people are like, have had too much Red Bull or whatever they call. I guess.
They call up, be like, help me. What do I do?
You know, the devices in our lives are so connected these days. Whether it's your watch is connected to your thermostat or your cell phone helps run the lights in your home, the world is getting smarter. Your e-commerce business should too. Whether you're looking for incredible efficiency or your business has outgrown your old shipping solutions, ShipStation helps you take the next step. They helped us deliver a better customer service experience with industry-leading features that help you find the best carrier rates, print labels, and make customer service a breeze. ShipStation, that's what I'm recommending. Lead your e-commerce business into a smarter future with the shipping software that delivers. Switch to ShipStation today. Go to ShipStation.com and use code Theo to sign up for your 60-day free trial. That's right. That's ShipStation.com, code Theo. It's so hot. If you tested anything inside of me right now, it would test positive for liquid IV. That's for sure. I've been taking them all weekend, and you can take them from the trail to the campsite. Hydration and energy are key to successful outdoor adventures. Liquid IV's Hydration Multiplier Plus Energy delivers 100 milligrams of natural caffeine plus 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, so you can accomplish all the things you want and need to do. I like Liquid IV. I mix it in. I pour out a little bit of my water, leave a little space in there so I can add it in, put on the cap, shake it up, see that it's dissolved, and bam, daddy's liquidated, baby, and hydrated, baby. Liquid IV, all-in-one formula, provides mind and body energy plus hydration that leaves you feeling focused, alert, and ready to take on anything. Take on the great outdoors and battle dehydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code Theo at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code Theo at liquidiv.com.
That happened to my wife with weed once. We were on the bus. We were in St. Louis doing some shows in St. Louis. And I had a bus in those days because I wouldn't fly because I got thrown off an airplane for being too fat.
Oh.
And so I traveled by bus. And everyone was like, you're like Madden. But I don't follow sports. I didn't know what that
Were you
meant.
too fat? Did they pull a scale out, or how do they even do it? They just guess?
The way I understand it, years after the fact, was because somebody was like, hey, man, I work in the industry. I think this is what happened, because they never flat out told me. It was a packed fucking flight. I wasn't even supposed to be on that flight. I was supposed to go to the next flight, but they had room. So I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll get on this. When I walked down the jetway, like the one guy was like, where are you going? And I was like, they gave me a ticket, I'm getting on. And he's like, no, there's too many already. And I was like, well, the lady just gave me this. And he's like, oh. So I walked onto the plane, sat down. I sat between like two women in like the bulkhead of like, if you first walk in and you go to the left, we were on the right side of the plane. And, you know, I'm sitting there and shit and fucking buckled my seatbelt and whatnot. And the armrests were there. And I was definitely fucking way heavier than I am now.
How much do you think you were?
Three. I probably weighed my area code, which was 323.
What?
Yeah, I was as high as 334 at one point. I think that's the biggest I went.
We look like a healthy 185 right now.
It's between, I live between 185 and 200, depending on if it's a bread week or not a bread week and whatnot. If I'm breading up, then like I could kind of tend to bloat up.
Oh,
and stuff.
yeah.
But that was the heart attack. That was like, after the heart attack, I was so fucking terrified of dying and shit. And actually, I wasn't. At the heart attack, I was fucking cool about it. Like, I was always scared of dying and shit. And then on the table, like, the guy had told me, Dr. Leidenheim, my cardiologist, who just fucking retired. And he told me before he retired, I was like, well, now that you're gone, what do I fucking do? Who's my new cardiologist? And he was like, Kevin, you don't need a cardiologist anymore. It was like the end of Wizard of Oz. It's like, you could have always taken care of your own heart. Just put your feet together or whatever the fuck. But he was going like, you're past it now. He's going, now you just go to your regular internist. And then if you've got a problem, then you go to a specialist. And I was like, well, I don't even have that. And so he introduced me to a new guy. But in any event, going way back to me on the table, that doctor, Dr. Leidenheim, he goes, you're having what they call widowmaker heart attack. You know what that is? And like, it kind of self-explanatory, but I was like they had jacked me up on fentanyl. So I was like, no, geez, what is it? I was very chatty. And he was like, it means in 80% of the cases where the patient has what you have, the patient always dies. But you're going to be in the 20% because I'm good at my job. And he disappeared into my crotch and made magic. That's how they get to your fucking heart, is through your dick. Isn't that amazing?
No way. They use a catheter?
They go through catheter. No. They go through your femoral artery. They technically don't go through your dick, but it's right next to you. It's dick adjacent. It's as close as possible. Like if somebody was if you were like, lick me where they fucking put that but lick me on my femoral. You're close enough to the dick where you might as well just fucking go over and give that one as well. So they went right through the femoral to the heart. And you know how they're always telling you like, oh, wait, at a man's heart is his stomach. Bullshit. Right through the fucking dick. Wow. Science. Right there. Science. Yeah. So he told me that. And, I'd always been afraid of dying, but like, nothing I could do at that moment. Like all the fucking damage had been done, whatever I'd eaten, fucking my genetics, whatever the fuck led me to that moment. So all the fucking like, why in the world wasn't going to help? So I just started facing the fact, like since I was looking up, I was like, this might be the last ceiling I see for the rest of my life. And this may be the last room I'm in.
And what'd you wear?
I was wearing a hockey jersey because I was doing a special. I was doing a stand-up special that eventually came out. It was called,
it happened on stage that you had a heart attack?
Not on stage. It was between two shows. You know how when you're going to tape a show, you shoot two shows and they put the best of it together. We shot our first show. Then I went backstage and we had an hour before the next show. And in that hour, that's when it all fucking happened. I was like sweating. I was like, can't fucking quite catch my breath and shit. So while I was laying on the table, I got comfortable with the notion of dying. Like dying suddenly, I was like, oh shit, this is like graduation. Like I left high school. Like if I could leave this world, if I left high school and high school was fun and I hated to see it end, if I left that, and the shit worked out, I could leave this. There's an ending. Of course there's an ending to everything. There was a song, fucking turn, turn, turn. You got this.
Yeah, Beatles.
Yeah, well, no, I think it was the Byrds. But regardless, somebody will look it up for you.
Yeah. And so
I was lying there and I was cool with the notion of like fucking dying. I'd come to total peace with it, where I was like, you know what, man? Like I had my time, like, and this is it. And like you had a real good life, better than fucking most. You did some cool shit and whatnot. There I was.
Wow.
And I was like, so if this is the case,
you look handsome for a dying guy.
Not bad, right? Well, I was on stage previously, right?
Oh, that's true.
Come right off stage. No makeup, but still. So I was like, if this is it, this is it. Like you push back from the table. Don't be the last guy at the party that's like, hey man, you got any more beer? Like fuck off. And you had your time. So I was cool with that. So I was okay with dying, utterly at peace. I was like, if it ends, it ends.
Did you have to talk to anybody before? Sorry,
just the doctor, just the guy who was in my fucking crotch.
Did you write a note to a kid or to your children? Or
no, because it all happened so fast. Like my wife wasn't there, the kid wasn't there. They didn't find out until after the fucking fact and shit. So they had to get you on the table immediately. As soon as I got to they picked me up from an ambulance from the Alex Theater in Glendale. And they're supposed to take me to a closer hospital as per the shoot schedule. Like whenever you shoot a thing, there's like, this is where you got to go if somebody gets hurt. That hospital was closer, but the first responders, the medics picked me up. Motherfuckers saved my life. I don't even know their names. I got to figure, you know what? I got to go out and find their names.
Yeah.
These two kids came in backstage at the Alex Theater and they were trying to put leads on me and shit.
What's
like,
leads?
Like on your chest so they can measure your heart rate or whatever the fuck. So I was wearing a hockey jersey, and again, I was way heavier and shit. And they lift up my shirt. I'm like, "Whoa, man! Fucking, you never do that to a fucking heavy dude." And shit.
Yeah,
I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, "We gotta get these on you." I was like, "Well, fucking, I'll hold it out. You reach under, but there's too many fucking people in and shit." Yeah. So they did that. And once they took a reading, like I do remember the woman looking at the man, like. An unspoken look. I'm supposedly I'm a director for a living and shit. So sometimes you got to frame a
like
shit.
When somebody's
show
cheating
a moment.
at Clue or whatever.
Something like that. Where it's, fucking just one of those. It wasn't that shifty where it's like, what does that mean? But I did see a glance between them. And then my man goes, you know what? We're going to take you to the hospital. And I was like, oh, please don't do that. This is embarrassing. He goes, no, just in case. He's going, look, it'll help me. Like, it'll look good for me and my job and stuff. And he's like, you ever been to the hospital before? I was like, no, I visit people. He goes, oh, you're going to love it. It's going to be great. Like,
you're going to love it, huh?
He was selling it, man.
Maybe he works for a big pharma or something.
Well, thank God that dude made the call he did, and her, the two of them, the two medics. And they chose not to go to the hospital they're supposed to take me to. They went to one that was a little further away because they knew that was the one where heart people went. Wow. And thank God they took me to that one. And that guy who saved my life, Dr.
Leidenheimer?
Leidenheim. He was, he like got pulled in at the last minute and shit. Like all of it like worked out. But I saw another doctor, Dr. Paula, like months later, man. Like after this all happened. And after it happened, I went on Colbert and told the story. I told the story for like years and shit like that, right? So I finally see Dr. Paula because we're going to go make Jay and Silent Bob reboots. This is like 2019. And she's the doctor you see before you go make a movie or something that clears you, you know, especially for the director because they got to insure you for the whole run of the show. Since I just had a massive heart attack, the insurance company was like, make sure this motherfucker could direct. Like, we know he can't direct. Like, we've read the reviews. But, like, make sure he can direct on set. So when I came in to see her, she was like, oh, my God, look at you. She's going, I heard about your story. I saw you talk about it on TV. Everywhere you talk about the heart attack. I was like, yeah, I know. And she's going, and you keep talking about how, like, it was 80% chance of dying. I was like, yeah. She's going, I'm going to tell you right now. She's going, I'm going to tell you a story. I've wanted to tell you ever since I heard about your heart attack. She's going, you know, I used to be in cardio. And I was like, get out of here. She said, yeah. And there were 4 of us working at Cedars on a heart patient, you know, open heart. And we're having the surgery. And all of a sudden, right in the middle of it, massive widowmaker strikes. And I was like, well, if you're open heart surgery and have it in the hospital before doctors, she goes, not the patient, one of the doctors drops to the fucking floor, has a massive heart attack.
Wow.
And I was like, well, at least 3 other doctors in Cedars signed it. She goes, that's the point of the story is we lost him. She said, we had all the talent in the world and all the tools to save a human being. But when it comes to the widowmaker, it ain't up to the doctor. She's going, I love Dr. Leidenheim, but you give him a lot more credit than he probably deserves because he did his job right, but it ain't even up to him at the end.
Damn, he's not even any good.
I mean, he's good enough because I'm here, so I'll always believe in him. But she was like, that thing makes up its mind and does what it wants. She's going, I heard you say 80%. She's going, I just wanted to correct you. That's not true. I was like, I always thought that was high. She goes, bullshit, it's 83%, 83-17. She's like, 83% the patient goes. She's going, so you're here for a reason. Keep telling that story. She's going, because people don't know. She's like, the way you talk about it and shit, that's how most people think about it. And it's true. For the last 5-6 years, man, like this, no bullshit. Vonward. I love that.
Yeah, somebody made that for us.
It's fucking awesome.
Very sweet of them.
I was walking on Runyon recently. I got these 2 German Shepherds walking them up Runyon, Birdie and Lucky. And this tall dude stops me and he goes, hey, man, I have my headphones in. He goes, hey. And I say, hey, what's up? And he's like, I just wanted to tell you, like, you have saved at least 6 lives at my job that I know of. And I was like, ooh, how? And he goes, I work at Kaiser. I've had at least 6 people come in with heart ailments that reference you. He's going, sometimes they know exactly who you are. They'll say Kevin Smith. He's going, a lot of times, I'll be honest, they say Kevin James, but they're talking about you.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go, he's the guy who don't say nothing in movies. He's going, but all of them have heard you talk about it. And because they did, they were like, I should go in just in case. And he's going, these people would have died otherwise. He's going, so keep doing what you're doing, man. And so when I got out, you know, I was in the Nut House like a year and a half ago. And so when I got out of there, like I put up a video on People Magazine and shit. Yeah,
sorry.
It happens.
I mean, everybody
You'll get there one day.
Oh, I could be there this afternoon, but I'm hearing you.
Well, not with that free fucking Celsius, man. You're living on Easy Street, Theo. There are those of us who have to fucking pay for Celsius. You know how much I pay for those? $2.89 a can. This motherfucker can. I come in, he goes, take as many as you want. I was like, hello, new best friend. I want to work on your fucking show. I'll just greet people. Like, there's a nice dude who greeted me in the fucking parking lot. He goes, oh, man, I'm a big fan. Like, I loved your movies when I was a kid and shit. I'll be that guy, especially if I get to walk home with like fucking 12 packs.
You'll float home, dude. There's
I ain't looking for free money, dude. I ain't that kind of like fucking all of carpetbagger, but I just want to wet my beak a little on my tongue.
Yeah. Just drip a little on my tongue. They all of our cabinets are filled with they've sent too much actually. So
what?
Yeah.
Don't fucking say shit like that.
Sorry.
I'm telling you like fucking how I thought I had the podcast and came down to a science, and you're like, we have so much Celsius, we flush it down the toilet on a regular basis. I'm like, no.
Yeah. I'm gonna start throwing cans of it into a schoolyard. You know what I'm saying? Fucking make it rock.
Fuck Kevin Smith. I'm like, why? You don't go here. Like, watch the show, you'll understand.
I'm just gonna get an EKG and just throw it into an elementary school. So what?
It's probably good I don't live here or work here, bro, because I'd be doing
I was amazed you tapped in
and be like, hey Theo, man, someone's in the parking lot. They really want to be on the show.
I'm like, dude, that's a shadow, bro. You're good.
It tastes good though. It tastes.
Oh
good.
no, it tastes really good. I'll have some too, actually.
Well, don't fucking, don't follow me into the hole, dude.
He'll bring.
I got
in.
one here if you want
do?
to take a spare.
You have some of it.
But can I get that again?
What flavor is that? Galaxy Vibe.
Can I
We'll get one more.
This one I want Cosmic, and next I want to go Galaxy.
We have.
I'm tasting them all. You don't understand, man. Fucking this shit
you've had them all.
$2.39 cans. So sometimes I'm in the 7-Eleven. I'm like, I want to try Cosmic Vibe, but $2.39 is expensive. So now I know I could just come here and fucking do a taste test, sample them all.
What about mediocre Vibe? What about how much is that?
Fucking, that's what I sell. Oh wait, I never finished my Lexington story.
Yeah,
it all started. I veered off course because
you went into
vegan.
But the heart stuff, right?
Yeah, but hold that thought. Let me finish because this makes me laugh.
Okay,
because this fucking happened. So I'm in Lexington, and you rock, fucking hey, man.
There you go, dude.
My man's hustling because he heard me like gunning for the job. I was like, I'll fucking be one of those guys. He's like, oh, fuck that. We got vans. See, I'm halfway there and shit. So there I am in Lexington, and I got an app on my phone. If you're a vegan, which again, I'm not pushing on people. It's just I do it to save my life. It's called Happy Cow. Wherever you are, you enter a thing, like I'm where I am, and they'll tell you places you can find vegan food or vegan adjacent.
That's great.
It's helpful, right? So I'm in Lexington. I fucking enter, Lexington, Kentucky. The app laughs at me and shit because they don't believe in that shit there at all. So there ain't no fucking vegan food to find except you can go Burger King, get an Impossible Whopper without cheese. Or my kid told me, White Castle does Impossible Sliders. So I was like, fuck, I'm going to go to White Castle, man. I passed a White Castle.
Yeah.
I was like, so I go into the White Castle in Kentucky. And I go up to the counter. I'm like, and I look up and there's Impossible Sliders. I said, can I get 6 Impossible Sliders? And the lady looks at me and then she looks up at the menu. She's like, I don't know. She goes, hold on. And she goes into the freezer case for 5 minutes. Then comes out with a frozen ass fucking box with looked like Iceman. Like fucking they unearthed it from the primordial man trapped in ice.
Like from that Mel Gibson movie?
Lawyer. Yes. And she was like, this is going to take a minute. And we don't do these a lot. I was like, that's cool. I'll wait. So I'm sitting at the counter and all of a sudden I hear, no. And but you know what that is.
Somebody got their period at work.
Exactly. And I'm like, good thing I carry tampons. Ma'am, here you go. Usually when you hear that, that's somebody going like, hey, it's you. I don't always assume that, but being that we're in a White Castle in Kentucky, I'm like, either there's a fight about to break out or I've just been made. And that's fair. I look like Silent Bob at all times and shit. So I turn around, not like egotistically, like, well, of course it's me, but I'm pretty sure that hey is directed in my direction.
Yeah.
No. And I turn around and he goes, just at White Castle? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, and he comes over and he hugs me. And he's like blazed as fuck. He's almost like a character out of one of my flicks and shit. Stoned as Traveler of the Green. Absolutely lovely. And he goes, you don't remember this, but you took me to the movies once. And I'm like, 20 years prior, I was doing a show at the University of Kentucky or whatever, and it was when Changing Lanes was coming out, Ben Affleck movie. So I was like, I'm here for 2 nights, so tomorrow I got nothing to do. I'm going to go see Changing Lanes at this multiplex. Anybody wants to come, I'll buy you a ticket and shit. I thought like fucking 10 people would show up 11 o'clock in the morning, 200 fucking people. So I wound up having to pay for a theater full of people and shit. And it ran an article or a story ran about it in Entertainment Weekly where, they were like, there was a huge bump for Changing Lanes in Kentucky, and that's because Kevin Smith took people out. So that dude was there.
That's a great story.
And I was like, holy shit, man, that's fucking nice seeing you. That's crazy. Like, I never run into people from that. And he goes, I love Affleck, man. He's going, because he's talking about Changing Lanes. It's a good thing you did for your boy. He's going, I love Affleck. He's my Batman. I was like, yeah, man, he's all of our Batmans and stuff. And he goes, he's really going through it right now, our boy, isn't he? Now he's our boy. And I was like, yeah, I guess. I mean, I've seen some articles and stuff. And he goes, we should call him. And I was like, yeah?
We don't know.
Yeah. Now, as previously mentioned, like I lost my mind a year and a half ago, went to a mental hospital for a while, found out at the root of all my issues is I'm a very codependent people pleaser. Crazy. So I came home and told my wife that. And she's like, marriage is codependence. I'm like, all right. But really, any doctor will tell you, not right. So I I don't know how to like feel about myself. I need you to tell me how I feel about me. I don't put on my own mask first. I'm going to put your mask on. I got to take care of everybody before I fucking take care of myself, because I learned at a young age that I'm only useful if I show utility. If I'm like, I can be useful. I could do this for you. I can make you laugh. I can fucking take care of your bills. I could do this. That is how I know that I'm a worthwhile human being.
Yeah, like there's no just natural value unless I'm producing something.
Yes. Yeah. Unless I'm useful to somebody, what the fuck am I doing and stuff? Yeah. So, you know, as I'm sitting there and a guy's going, we should call him, you know, a normal human being would be like, well, absolutely, that's out of the question.
Yeah.
But my people-pleasing nature is like, I mean, I guess we should, shouldn't we? Like, I don't want to let this guy down. This guy who I haven't seen in 20 years, don't know his name. And he just started going, no, in White Castle. So I was like, all right, best of all possible worlds. Let me see if I could get this going. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to call him. So I pull out my phone and I called Jason Mewes instead. And so I called Jason and I'm like, Ben, hey man, it's Kevin. I'm in Kentucky at a White Castle and there's a dude here who I took to see Changing Lanes 20 years ago. And then I go, Ben, hold on. Jason Mewes is texting me. And I pull the phone away and I text to Jason, be Ben Affleck on speaker. And then I go back to the phone and I go, Ben, Jason's fine. He says hi. Anyway, I'm going to put you on speaker. Say hi to my man here. So I put him on speaker. And I was like, go ahead. My man goes, Ben, man, how you doing, man? How you doing? And he goes, Mewes, who has worked with Ben Affleck, is friends with Ben Affleck, went to his fucking wedding and shit like that. Like, knows Ben and what he sounds like. This is Jason Mewes' approximation of Ben Affleck on the phone. Yo, this is Big Ben Affleck coming at you. Like he was a strip club DJ. And so this guy goes, Ben, man, like I've been reading, like guy bought it. Like he's like, Ben, I've been reading, like I feel bad for you, man. You gotta just hang in there, man. And he goes, and then Mewes goes, well, you know what they say, Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo. And there's a line from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And that guy went nuts. He was like, oh my God, he said that thing. And I was like, he always says that thing. And then, so I was like, we're gonna go. And then Jason goes, yeah, I gotta go too. Matt Damon's taking me to Target. Bye. And I hung up. And that dude was so delighted, man. So delighted. And he goes, that's awesome. He's going, that was a good thing to do for your friend. He feels good now. We gave him support. And I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. And then he's like, what about Mewes? Can we call Jay now? And I was like, mercifully, the lady was like, 6 impossibles. Yes, thank you. And out I went and stuff.
Oh, that's a sweet story, dude. That made
only happened because I was vegan, bro.
Oh, it's true. Huh?
So that's my, there it is. Go vegan. No, don't.
That's your pitch for veganism.
My pitch, if I had to pitch for it, it would be like, you know, this is most people approach things from a position of vanity, right? Like fucking, they don't really truly care about like their health. They just want to look better.
Oh, that's interesting.
I feel that's generally the case. So look, it was definitely the case with me.
And if we look better, we will feel better.
One imagines, but really it's not like my whole life prior to the heart attack. I've been on a zillion diets and fucking OptiFast. Did everything but the surgery because I'm fucking scared of, you know, getting cut and shit like that. So
the lap band surgery, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I've been that person that's like, man, what's the secret? How do you do it? And for years, people have just been saying like, oh, you got to eat less and you got to exercise a lot more. I'm like, yeah, I know, but what's the real secret and shit? I was never interested in being healthy. I just wanted to look normal like everybody else.
Yeah.
And now, like, I've lost weight, but I don't look normal like everybody else. If I took my fucking gear off and shit, like, I didn't sound like I had any surgery. Like, I got all this excess fucking skin that just hangs.
Does that start to go away, that skin?
No.
Can you put like vitamin E oil on it or something?
I mean, maybe the stretch marks might go away, but like that hanging skin, that just hangs, bro.
Is there any way to absorb it back in or anything?
I think so, with the aid of unstable molecules, if we were in a Marvel fucking comic, but no, bro, no. The skin being an organ, it just fucking distends, and if you've distended it, that's it. So you could do this shit.
But that's crazy,
well, this is when you go under the knife and they cut it off. And I've had a friend of mine, you know, I'm not at liberty to say, but a friend of mine went through that. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine was like, because my friend lost a lot of fucking weight. I think he's talked about it. But you know, I'm
yeah,
you know, but
sure.
He was like, I know you, dude, and I know your threshold for pain. He's going, you never ever want to do this. He's going, in retrospect, I would never do it again. He's the most pain I've ever been in my entire life. So, all right. Well,
we won't put it on if he hasn't said it publicly.
Yeah, but right. But yes. So,
wow, that guy.
Yeah, he's my boy. And
looks amazing. He,
if you go to the picture on the right, you can see like the one all the way over. That was just there. Sorry. Yeah, that one. Like there's the drapey skin, the creping effect they call it.
Oh, interesting.
So he looks good. I'd kill to look like that. Shit, that'd be amazing. Mine is just hanging like mine's like, remember the scene in The Shining when fucking Nicholson goes to the one room and the gorgeous lady gets out of the tub and they start making out, and then all of a sudden he looks at her and she's like, ah, and she just doubled, like she got droopy fucking, that's what I look like when I take my girl. So that's what my wife gets to fuck.
Damn, hey, lucky her, dude. It's almost like fucking like one of those cats that doesn't have any hair on it, kind of.
That's right. I mean, some people like that sort of shit.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's my wife. I always talk about my wife in regards to like, you know, people ask various people about like, how do you succeed when I'm doing Q&As or whatever? And I was like, it's, you know, success, you can't guarantee that anyone's ever going to be interested in your bullshit. I don't care who you are. Kevin Feige, that guy that makes all the Marvel movies and shit.
Kevin Feige is his
name?
Kevin
Feige. So probably the most successful producer in history. The only Kevin who must be saved at all costs because those movies rock. Even when Deadpool Wolverine was about to open up, which is now making, what, up 1.3 billion? Guarantee you, Kevin Feige still clenched his asshole and was like, man, I hope they show up. Because nobody knows for sure. And they've actually experienced one or two movies where the people didn't show up and stuff. So in a world where you can't guarantee that an audience is going to show up, the only audience member you can go out of your way to please is audience member number one. That thing only exists because you want to do it. So if you love it, that's how you have to proceed. It's like, I did this for me and I love it and this is my expression and stuff. And man, I hope others go for it, but this is as good as it's ever going to get. You can't count on people showing up and stuff. So in a world where like you can't count on an audience showing up, do the thing that nobody's seen before, nobody's looking at. Tell your story. I always tell folks like, you know, when I'm out there, like your voice is your currency, man. Like your voice is how you see the world, your perspective and how you spit it back to the world. It's very unique. Theo has a distinctive fucking voice. Every comedian has a very distinctive voice. You hope most storytellers do and stuff. Public speakers generally, why people gravitate toward them over and over again is like, I like their perspective. I like what they say. That is, as we're sitting in a place where I could drink any fucking Celsius I want. Proof positive that fucking your voice is your currency, because Theo is spending his fucking currency. Right. His voice has built all this. After that Celsius, I'm like, you must be the richest man I know.
Why was it one cooler? But we had
it's a pretty, don't undersell
it. It is a nice
this.
cooler.
It's one it's a talk. It's taller
I agree.
than me.
It
taller
is
than you.
It's like a New York City apartment. I mean, it is definitely.
It really is. Somebody would pay at least $1,400 for that. Where do you go in Jersey? Because you're a fucking road king. You're out there.
I've been out there for years.
No
in
shit.
Jersey, where do I go
I've seen
to?
for years. Whenever I've been at a club, I've seen your name and shit like that.
Oh, same,
now
man.
I don't see your name at the clubs anymore, son.
Same.
Yeah, we started doing. Because you're in the bigger venues.
We started getting into bigger venues.
Oh heavens, yeah.
And that's been interesting.
So where's Jersey for you? Where do you do a show?
Jersey,
in Jersey?
let me think. Red Bank.
Yeah, that's my fucking town, bro. That's
really?
number one where I was born. Number two, where Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, the comic book store I've had for 27 fucking years, is in that town. So you're talking about doing the Count Basie?
Yes.
Count Basie Theater, and the Vogel is right next door and shit like that.
Yeah, that's where we went.
Next time, no bullshit. Next time you do Count Basie, please let me know. I have a movie theater that's like fucking 20 minutes from there, 15 minutes.
Yeah, you
from
grew
there.
up. You had something you grew up going
It's
to.
the movie
and you bought
theater
it?
that I grew up going to with my friends and whatnot. The one my dad took me to when I was a kid and whatnot. The one where
so cool.
Oh, it's beautiful. And they were going to kill it and close it after COVID. It's over 100 years old. So me and my friends got in and saved it. It's called Spot Castle Cinemas and whatnot. And we do shit all the time. We just did Vulgarthon, which is like show every View Askew Universe movie. So Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, and Clerks 3. So 8 movies, 16 hours of movies. We started at like Saturday morning at 9. We finished Sunday at like 5 in the morning.
Wow.
700 fucking people in 4 different theaters and shit like that. Nobody.
That's awesome, dude.
So it's fun for shit like that. So we've had comedy there. I've done shows there. Somebody shot a stand-up special there and whatnot. So if you're going to be in fucking Red Bank, Oh my God. I'll bring you over and we'll do a like watch with Theo thing. You pick a favorite movie and shit. We'll show it and then you show up and then we just sit around and bullshit.
Dude, I would probably pick Family Man. I like that movie. Have you seen it?
With Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful fucking movie.
Oh.
That's a Brett Ratner movie that a lot of people never talk about anymore.
I thought that was one of his.
If I remember correctly. But
yeah.
I remember the movie. It's very, It's a Wonderful Life. It's
yes.
Capra-esque.
It's kind of like that vibe.
Is that the shit you fuck with?
Yeah, that's like that's probably my favorite movie, I think. I like League of Their Own.
I love
like
League of Their Own.
Dunkirk.
I fucking lived across the street from Penny Marshall for years. And when I was like in my heyday of podcasts and whatnot, we started doing it at the house all the time. So she came over. So again, she like lived right across the street and shit.
Penny Marshall, bring her up.
I got to talk to her about League of Their Own. Just sit there because Penny Marshall had this brilliant. Like every once in a while, directors hit strong in threes and have like bang, bang, bang. Mm-hmm. Penny Marshall had Big, Awakenings, and a League of Their Own back to back to back.
She's a pretty fascinating lady.
This was Laverne and Shirley. She was Laverne of Laverne and Shirley, and then she became a director later and spent most of her career as a director after doing that show for what 10 seasons or whatever.
Dude, we went to the town where Rockford. We went to Rockford, Illinois, and went to the museum there and went and saw like all the Rockford Peaches memorabilia and shit.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
I love that movie. Do you cry when you watch that movie?
Are
you allowed to cry?
A League of Their Own?
Yeah. Are you a fucking butch dude and shit?
No, I
cry a lot.
cry.
I get made fun of on the internet for crying. For not only just crying, but then I post pictures of myself crying. Like I saw Black Panther 2, and I came out and I took a picture in front of the poster and I was teary-eyed. 2 days, fucking the internet was like, you cuck fuck. Like, how dare you? They were very angry at me for that.
Yeah, I cried. I mean, if I saw it, I'll cry I've cried.
But you won't put it out there and shit.
I've been crying. I mean, there's too many clips of me crying online.
Is that right? Why?
Yeah.
What makes you cry?
Oh, just like thinking about stuff or talking about stuff. Like, I don't know, like earlier we were talking about like people pleasing, like thinking about...
Do you got issues? Got MH issues, mental health? And stuff?
Yeah. First of all, hold on. There's a couple questions I want to ask so I don't forget. One is, what are some of the signs if people are getting sick or something that you feel like you neglected so that people can...
Heart attack side or head side?
Heart attack. Heart attack.
Heart attack. Sweating profusely, which I did quite a lot as a man who was over 300 pounds. Not being able to catch your breath. I refer to it as I couldn't quite ring the bell. Like, you bang and fucking bing. That game at the fucking fair.
Oh, yeah.
Felt like I'd be like, bang, hitting it hard and be like, and then just come back down. So I couldn't hit the top, couldn't quite catch my breath, so to speak. I was looking for the numbness in the arm because I was raised watching fucking Sanford and Son. So, Elizabeth, this is the big one. And that's what he always did, clutch his arm and did this shit. That never happened, never felt that. Nausea, also. Like I wound up throwing up and I didn't have anything in my stomach, so it was just bile. These very subtle things that like, I
hate bile, dude.
Totally. But you could mistake that for like, I was nervous or fucking, maybe I had some bad milk because I was a big milk drinker in those days. So you could
there's nothing
mistake
watching a
those.
Big fella drink milk, dude.
Fucking.
Can we just...
You would have been turned on, bro. Seriously. I don't know which way you swing. But you would have watched me drinking the milk on the beard and stuff. You'd been like, I'm going bear. Because you're a total otter type. And it could have worked.
An otter in the gay community?
Yeah, I
Is
think
there
if I
otters?
had to, like Scott Mosier, people would always tell me, hey man, there you go, son. Come on, that looks like a good time. And I know a lot of people would look at that and be like, this guy's fucking nuts, but he's living his best fucking life. Have you ever been that happy? I've been listening to lately that fucking song that was at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and it's Florence and the Machine, and it's
Happiness,
keep going.
like a bullet to the
Bullet in the back.
bullet in the...
Let's just stop and appreciate the poetry of that line.
All right.
Happiness hit her like a bullet in the back. When was the last time you were ever hit by the happiness bullet in the back?
That's a good question, man. I went to this recently.
I mean, happy too, like because I'm sure every day you wake up and you're like, I'm Theo fucking Vaughn. Like, holy shit, my mouth. I use my mouth on people and I'm rich now. Fucking
and it's not for BJing.
Well, oral's oral, my friend.
Yes,
You're in the mouth service business. Paint it any way you want. We're all whores.
Yeah, being chatty is just a real drawn out blowjob.
Satisfied with the job and stuff. I'm talking about like true fucking happiness that has nothing to do with who you are. Like my friend Scott Mosier at one point, he was just like, what do you want to do? if you could do anything in the
And
world.
that's your Smodcast co-host?
Yeah. One of the smartest people I've ever known. He said, if you could do anything you wanted, he's going, you almost died a few years ago. So if you do anything you wanted, what would make you happy? And he goes, but it can't have anything to do with being Kevin Smith for a living or the movies or any of that. He's going, I'm just talking like normal ass shit. And that rocked my world for a few days. I couldn't come up with an answer necessarily. The best answer I could come up with was I was like, what would make me happy? Like if I had a conversation with my father and he's dead 20 years. And not because I'm like, we could settle issues, but that'd be fucking wonderful and shit. But I had to reach into fiction, into the impossible to find something. And I would ask other people. I asked my brother. And my brother, without missing a beat, he's like, oh, I'd go on a world cruise. And I was like, what's that? He's like, it's exactly what it sounds like. You just cruise around the world for like a year.
Yeah, on a boat.
But he knew. And other people I talked to were like, oh, I'd do this.
It's a good
question. And they were normal ass things that are within one's doing. And I think my fucking radar is busted, and I imagine yours is as well, because the idea of what makes others happy or what makes a person happy is shattered when you can wake up and whimsy about something and create it, and just by dreaming about it and doing it, or putting a podcast together, just sitting around speaking your mind, you've gotten paid and you've gotten a bunch of people going like, we fucking like, we support you and shit like that. When that scale exists, I found, and the more I speak to other creatives, like after the fucking going to the mental hospital, now I feel freer to talk to others about it and shit, where it's like, I'm not saying like life can't make you happy, but when you've had that ability, and there's a certain happiness that goes along with financial success, creative success, personal success. When your highs are like, oh, let's get Alan Rickman to be in Dogma. It's tough to find a normal high. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's interesting, man. I think
is that 1% fucking rarefied view thinking?
No, I don't know if I feel.
Does that make me instantly unrelatable?
No, I just think it makes sense. Like if you've had interesting things that most people would seem like are would make people happy, or we all believe would make us happy, then it makes sense then that you might have a tougher time finding certain happiness, you know? I don't know what I would do. Probably like something that would really, really make me happy. I don't know.
Isn't that crazy? You can ask anybody listening to the show.
They would giving a hug to my brother or something like that, or taking a walk with my brother somewhere.
Is your brother, you and your brother tight?
Yeah, we're close. So I think something like that. What else? Spending time with like a teacher or something that I grew up with. Yeah, probably if I got to see my dad again or something like that. I mean, that's, my dad passed away too. So like, yeah, I think if there was something like that, I think it would make me like really happy. Maybe having a...
Isn't that crazy that we have to reach into the grave to be like, well, that would make me really happy.
Yeah.
Like,
but
essentially the impossible.
Being in love with somebody probably.
Are you?
No, I'm not. I have a tough, I have a tough like...
dick?
I wish, huh?
Tough dick? And chicks are like, I ain't into that tough dick shit. And you're like, look at this.
Yeah.
That's what my dick does. Tough.
My dick has just one brass knuckle on it. No, I don't know. Yeah, probably having a family, like being able to be happy and have a family, shit like that.
Wouldn't one brass knuckle essentially be a cock ring?
Yeah, probably would.
But you know what? I think I like your cell better. Because cock ring, some people, I don't fuck with that. But if you're like, how would you like one brass knuckle on your dick? A lot of people are like, as long as it's my choice. Yeah. I don't want your brass knuckle on my dick.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Alo or Allbirds or Skims or what's the one, like those little yogurts? Well, usually you think about a specific product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the business behind the business, making selling simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet, and the not-so-secret secret with Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Theo, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/THEO. That's shopify.com/Theo, all lowercase, to upgrade your selling technology. Shopify.com/Theo. You know, I've had experience with bad habits over the years. You know it. And I'm okay. I'm alive, thankfully. But one thing I want to do when I look at my future is I want to have good habits in it. I want to have a healthy future. Did you know that around 73% of American adults report having one or more unhealthy behavior? If you've got a bad habit that you can't seem to kick, you might want to pay attention to what Fume has created for people like us. Fume is a vaping alternative. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that's quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking. It's a new movement which champions the creation and maintenance of healthy habits that you can implement into your daily routine. I've used Fume and it is effective. Flavored air isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint and orange vanilla. There's a cranberry one as well as a grapefruit one. Those are the ones I've been using. So start your journey with a good habit and get a free gift with your journey pack, which includes a Fume device, 3 core flavors of your choice, and a cleaning kit. Go to tryfume.com. That's TRYFUM.com and use code Theo. Say ciao to your bad habits today. So you obviously have been a big comic guy and in that whole zeitgeist, and it's been a big part of what made you
awesome.
Right?
It's honestly, like I was into that shit. Like if you watch Mallrats in 95, it's a big part of it and stuff. And the culture wasn't. Like the culture was like comic books. Those are for kids. I just got real fucking lucky in that, you know, about 15 years ago, the culture shifted into all the shit that I was already into and well-versed in. So I got like a free fucking ride for about a good 15, 20 years on a geek train that like I never had to make a comic book movie.
Right.
I've directed some comic book shows like Supergirl, Flash and stuff like that. But like really it's just I was insanely well-positioned because I was waving the flag for this shit when people were like, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's lucky when where
Very
what
lucky
you do
when the culture
meets. Yes, it's the same
Do you
as.
feel that is where you are right now?
No, I see.
Do you feel you were an overnight success, or it was like 10 years of a thing before fucking?
Oh yeah, it was a long time.
You don't feel you're in the fucking zone right now, like in terms of like the man has met the moment and vice versa.
I don't know. I guess because I don't know what my end goals are. Sometimes I see it when I look at a guy like Joe Rogan, to drop his name again, and you can use it a few times too.
Twice in one.
But because he got into UFC and that rose, and I think it rose. He also helped
But to
it
be
rise.
fair, yeah, but
it
I ain't
also-
saying I'm Joe Rogan, but I too.
But that's what I'm saying.
Did
It's a
the
similar
labor
thing,
of
right?
love, just like him.
That's what I'm saying.
Once again,
It
though,
reminds me of that.
he found a way to monetize his passions where I think he's probably indispensable to the UFC. When he comments, do they pay him?
I'm pretty sure they must have a deal, like
So
a
that's what I'm
overall
saying. Like
deal.
not only he may have put in the work and shit, but now he's financially
Well, he was
remunerated.
fighting. He was in on it early. He trained,
Early
and then he
adopter.
started talking. I remember going, like, the kids at my school that you knew were going to probably die young or whatever they say.
You had those.
They were the ones watching that on the weekend and like, come watch it. It's like you know, Willie the fucking, you know, short Willie versus fucking
Willie the short Willie.
versus the violent homo or something. You'd be like, who are these guys? And it would be like one guy would be like 400 pounds fighting a guy that was like 120 pounds. And it would just be like a massacre, you know? But that's when the UFC, there wasn't weight classes, all of that. And
Look at him. What a puppet. It's like his news radio days.
yeah, I mean, he was
See,
a
I
handsome guy.
believe me, I understand who Joe Rogan is today, and I love that. But
But you knew him back then?
Well, I mean, my first introduction to Joe Rogan was on news radio. And I fucking love news radio. It's one of my favorite sitcoms ever produced. So I've watched, and they only had about 4 seasons max or something. So you could, it's not like, fucking Friends where you could do 12 seasons. You could get through it.
You can go
in
enjoy
a
it.
day and then start it again and shit. So Joe was like, that's how I first knew him and knew about him and stuff. And then the podcasting thing, I remember going on the show in the early days and every time I've ever been on. And he's, clearly there's a reason why the fucking man is at the top of the game. He's just interesting and interested.
He's interested. He's
the key
genuinely
difference.
curious.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Sometimes
But he's curious, but he also like fucking hits you with shit where you're like, no. Yeah. Like he's just that guy at the party where slowly the crowd gravitates around him, whether he's trying to magnetize him in, whether he's putting on a show or not, because he's just interesting.
Got a lot of information. He's like a thoroughfare for information. He's like an airport for information, and he retains information really well. And he's genuinely curious. You'll kind of say something, and then he'll ask you about it, and you're almost like, "Fuck! Now I have to actually say something about this."
He was the first one that did this shit though, where you're talking, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Look that up," and somebody
listens and helps.
A reference person like helping out. We didn't have that in them early days.
Yeah, a lot of I feel like there's less comedy movies these days. Would you agree with that?
No. I think there are less movies, period, these days.
Is it a lot of there's a lot of almost comic book type movies and universes that are those are the movies now.
Yeah.
Does that feel weird
is.
to you? Because, or not weird to you, or what are your thoughts on that? That it's I don't know if one has eliminated the other, but it's just kind of why is that? Why do we see these big, huge things, but it feels tougher for somebody to create just like a good comedy these days?
I think good comedy went to TV and to streaming because they needed to fill coffers quick, fill programming schedules quick. So,
or did the Marvel universes and all the comic book universes, did they kill off
no.
the guy?
100% no. Studios like to make money.
Right.
They're in the business to make money. I don't think a comic book movie has made them go let's give up on the mid-range. They're just look, more risk, more reward. And when I first started, there was television, there was movies. Now there are many more options and many more places to go. So instead of doing, and you'll see it an 6 or 8 episode show where you're could have been done in 3. It's because a lot of people are all right, I'm going to take my idea that was for a feature and stretch it out into a show. So I think, never mind comedy, I'd be more curious, hey, where did the indie film go?
Yeah.
But I think the indie film was taken over by Netflix. Once Netflix came in, number one, they started buying cheap movies. And number two, they started making programming that was kind of interesting. They went to other countries and they were like, who are your top filmmakers? Here's money. Go make TV shows and stuff. And that's where all the interesting ideas are going and finding a home. You're somebody who wants to tell an offbeat story. And you're looking at this Sisyphean task of I got to roll this fucking boulder up the hill. Every time I make a movie, it's fuck, here we go. It's going to be fucking tough. Or you walk into these cats and they're like, what's it about? How esoteric is it? Interesting. Go ahead. Can you make it 6 episodes? Can you make it 8? That's preferable. And that's where all the interesting programming has slowly gravitated toward. Now,
so you're saying some of the indie movies have actually become television shows?
I think indie filmmakers or people that make things off the beaten path stories that don't necessarily fall into the big budget equation have wound up going to streaming. What was fucking Jason Bateman's show? Ozark.
Yeah.
It's an indie film. This just happens to be a series that went on for a bunch of episodes because they're like, hey, we like it, do it again. Instead of getting a sequel, you just get another season.
That's a good point. It's it was almost there's a secret gay guy at the lake. It was like people playing gay Clue at the lake, remember? Because that one guy ended up...
Ozark?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole show.
And
I was just using it as an example.
It started to get redundant. It started to
now, for some reason, I really want to play gay Clue. Does that exist?
Yeah. No, they should have that, right?
Right?
He did it in, it was what
do you use the candlestick for? They're find out.
Yeah. Samuel's been in the billiard room for a while.
in the conservatory, not being very conservative.
Wow, I've never used that to cue my pool stick before. Or what's that thing called? To
Pool
chalk?
cue? I've never
used
chalked that way.
yeah. So that's interesting. So
I think that's part of it. Believe me, I'm not like, and that's exactly what happened. And
No, it's cool,
I think
though.
that's part of it. I think, Netflix came in, disrupted the business, as we all know, in a way that at first people were like, yeah, and now people are like, wait a second. In the aftermath, nothing existed the way that existed before. Television viewership is like down to almost nothing, so much so that major studios are writing off entire network divisions and stuff like that, devaluing television in order to get a write-off. So once Netflix came in and said, hey, this is how we're doing it, and then every other company was like, well, shit, we got to do what they're doing. And they started doing streaming and whatnot. It just really, it broke the model. It's kind of nuts. So right now, I think if you're a person that likes to tell off the beaten path stories, or what we used to call back in the day an indie filmmaker, now's the time to shine. I think there's a moment that's going on right now where entertainment, like the way people are getting their entertainment, of course, has completely changed over the last 10 years, but theatrical consumption has been way off since COVID, and some people wonder if, like, will people ever go back to the movies the way they used to, and blah, blah, blah. They're not going to go unless you give them something they can't get anyplace else. So they'll go to the theaters to see Deadpool Wolverine because, like, I ain't going to be able to watch this at home for like 6 months, so fuck it. But what if you tell them a story, going back to your voice as your currency, they've never heard before, and the only place they could see it is in theater, and right now theaters are hurting, so they'll fucking take anybody. It doesn't matter. It used to be tough to get screens. Now, are you fucking kidding me? You can make a deal with AMC, a private deal with your own independent movie where you're like, can I get 100 screens and we'll do a door split or whatever the fuck? It's possible because movie theaters, as a movie theater exhibitor, I know this for a fact, we would kill or die to have people come in. Back in the day, I made this movie, the 4:30 movie, and it's about how in the 80s.
This is your new film.
This is the new film that's coming out September 13th. In the 80s, we used to pay for one movie and then jump from theater to theater to theater to go see movies for free. I own that movie theater that I used to do that in. We get caught, and you might get the risk of being banned from that theater for fucking life. If I caught you walking into another movie theater after you paid for only one movie theater, my movie theater, I'd be like, that's great. Just buy some popcorn, would you? You could stay as long as you fucking want. Call your friends.
Yeah.
Have them come just to get fucking bodies through the goddamn door. So this is a bit of a different world at this point. But imagine you're an indie filmmaker who wants to say the thing nobody has ever fucking said before in a film, per se. We're just using film as an example. Fuck, now is your time. Like, you could actually make a thing and have it be in a goddamn movie theater. And then if you do even the tiniest bit of business with your movie in a movie theater these days, that's a fucking story.
Yeah.
And that also it's been proven, like, through the algorithm, when Amazon did Air, Ben Affleck's movie Air, they put it in theaters and they spent AIR about Air Jordans, the history of the Air Jordan sneaker. They put it in theaters traditionally and spent money on advertising, even though Amazon has Prime, and really they probably thought it would go right there, but they were like, you know what? Let's see what it would be like to release a movie. Like, Amazon and other streamers broke the theatrical model, and here they're going like, wouldn't it be novel? Like us with Smodcast going like, wouldn't it be weird if somebody paid for an ad on our show? These cats are like, wouldn't it be novel if we put the movie out and paid for ads and people saw a trailer and then went to the movies theater to see it? Would it make it more valuable when we then put it on Prime? And it did, naturally. They found the same thing out on Netflix. Movies that go the traditional route, the way that everybody expects. I've seen a commercial for that on TV. That will be a primary choice on Netflix rather than a Netflix made for Netflix movie that may have the biggest fucking stars on the planet in it, but you will pass it by.
Yeah, it feels so. There's something about just watching a movie that's just on Netflix or on a stream.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
but there is a value to putting something in a theater. Still, it gives it this kind of panache. Now, if you're an indie filmmaker and you're out there going like, nobody's ever fucking heard my story. They've never heard my voice. They've never fucking seen what I can do. And if you're sitting there right now going, I fucking hate Kevin Smith. He makes the same fucking movie every time. 30 years in the business. All he's done is make Clerks and Jay and Silent Bob. Great. Now's your fucking time. Now's your time to shine. Don't sit there, waste your time at home looking at me, hating on me. Use me as your fucking example and stepping stone. Like if that fucking talentless idiot could do it, then I could fucking do it too. And now is the time for another indie filmmaking movement. Now it feels like with the frustration of real fucking filmmakers who, I know people that make millions to fucking make movies sitting on their asses because ain't nobody fucking making movies. Could you imagine if the only way you got to do your show is if somebody told you, okay, now you could go. No, you enjoy the independence of like, fucking this past weekend is going to happen when I want it to fucking happen. You're your own fucking boss. There are a lot of people that never figured out how to do that. They never came from indie film, so they couldn't pivot back to indie film. They've just been spoiled by working for a studio. So now with the studios not making anything, they're like, what do I fucking do? I've always been able to pivot back to indie film. And I feel like even though I've been able to do that, I've been in indie film for a while, everyone knows every variation of story I could possibly tell. Every once in a while, you'll whip a tusk on them. And they're like, well, that's fucking weird. But generally speaking, they're like, he does those Jay and Silent Bob movies and shit. Now is the time for an indie filmmaker to come out and be like, here's a fucking story nobody's ever heard. Fuck a TikTok. I mean, I love TikTok, don't get me wrong, but like people that spend their time like doing little videos and shit. If you're a filmmaker, make your fucking film. And now is the time to take your fucking shot because there is an empty guff in the marketplace for that type of storytelling. All of it has gone mainstream. Streaming is now mainstream. So people who are telling these offbeat stories on streamers, they are essentially studios at this point. When I started indie film, it was like us outside of Warner Brothers and fucking, 20th Century Fox and Paramount going like, well, they'll never let us play. So just because they won't let us in don't mean I can't do it on my own. The streamers are that now. So if you're out there going like, well, Netflix will never give me a fucking thing. Great, go do your fucking thing without them. Hang your own fucking shingle. It's time. People are hungry for that.
Do you think it's a good idea to sell direct to consumer, right?
Fuck
like
yes.
David Spade and I wrote a movie, and so we're going to try to get it made, and it feels like it's kind of getting close, right?
100%.
So, and we're like, could we just put it on a website and sell it right there to people?
100%. But also, you travel out in the world, man. And so imagine you do a comedy tour, but instead, your comedy tour is, hey, man, welcome. Tonight we're going to watch the movie, and afterwards we're going to talk about it. All right, so enjoy the show. And then you get to fuck off for 90 minutes. Then you come out, and it's all crowd work because you're just answering fucking questions. That's it. You have the ability to do that. Why do you fucking need anybody else? Or you've got such an audience and such a long tail that you can go into an AMC like a fucking Taylor Swift and be like, I guarantee you that on my podcast that has 200 fucking million downloads per ever, whatever the fuck, that I can make people come to a theater and show a thing. And even if AMC is like, no, we're not interested, then you go to Fathom Events and be like, hey man, I got a movie. I want to put it in screens for like 2 fucking days. And you'll make like 10 million bucks and they'll write stories about how fucking smart you are. So you don't need anybody, Theo. You have the distribution fucking mechanism already in place. You're a loaded gun at all times. You just have to point your audience in the right direction. And what you do is point them to the next show, or a live gig. But if you make a movie with Spade or whoever the fuck, don't fucking sell it until you have milked it and juiced it for everything you personally can, the way you juice your own shit. Then fucking give it up to a streamer. Then give it up to somebody like a home video, company that's going to put it out and shit like that. Because you have the mechanism in place. You already know how to put asses in seats. The big mystery of this business that everyone's always trying to figure out is, how do I get fucking people to show up? You know how to get people to show up. Now this would just be you going, okay, when you show up this time, we're going to do things a little differently. I'm just going to show you a movie, and then we're going to fucking do a comedy show afterwards and stuff.
Did you get
charge the same thing, and all that money goes right to the fucking flick.
And then you would have money now. Then you could start making other cool movies and have your friends be like, this is a script I like, or you could just write it. And then it's like you'd have movies would be like free again because there wouldn't be, you don't have to go and ask some smarmy fucking dude. What
do you mean free again? Because I'm like, I like this world.
Just
free meaning you could do whatever you want.
You can do what you want.
But Theo, you could always do whatever you want. You have the ability to do that. You just have to kick
you always
your heels
could
together. But you already show it on a regular basis. I cannot fucking stress this enough. That Celsius fucking container is huge. They don't give that to just anybody. It's not that big. It's massive. He's out of his fucking, it's like I walked into a 7-Eleven or at least a fucking.
I'm going to pee really fast, actually. I hated it when, hold on a second.
No way, man. No, I'm going. You coming with me? We're doing it. Take my hand. We're going. We're Thelma and Louise in this shit.
I'm out, dude. They died, didn't they?
Yeah, but they live forever.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Because they're in a movie.
Look, Theo, everybody
good
dies. Not everybody truly lives.
Facts, homie.
I took that from Braveheart.
You did?
I mean, that's where it came from.
There's a new Asian kind of Braveheart movie coming out. I saw a preview for. How do you know when? Keeping on movies. How do you know when? Have you ever?
Shouldn't movies be like national cuisine? Like you were going. There's an Asian
Braveheart
coming out. Shouldn't there be one for every country? Like recently, we were talking about. I saw on Netflix they had this movie called Beneath Paris, which is Jaws in France.
Ooh.
Shouldn't every country have its own fucking Jaws? We were talking about this on Hollywood
Yeah, they
Babylon
should.
podcast I do with Ralph Garman at Flappers and stuff. And I was like, every country should have its own fucking Jaws. Like, it don't have to be the same story, but just give me every country. It should be like the Olympics. Every country is like, here are our best athletes. It should be like, here is our best shark movie, killer shark movie. Because everybody can get away with that. And the fucking, there aren't a lot of killer shark movies now. It seems cheap now, like cheap to do. Like I guess like doing CG shark is not as expensive as building the big rubber one that they did for Jaws and shit like that. But having each country, each nation represented by what they feel is their best possible
like
shark
Saving
movie.
Private Reginald or something, like in Africa or something. Or if they had like
Wait a minute. World War II, like.
No, I was just thinking of like a different, like if you had like we have Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
If they had
Let's just keep it to sharks, Theo.
Saving
like, why-
Private-
Don't
like-
jump into fucking war films.
But I'm saying like Saving Private
before
Roberto.
we could do, every nation gets to make every movie for themselves. We start basic. You start with the shark thing.
Okay.
We'll get to like Saving Private Richard and shit like that.
All
We're
right.
saving Heinrich, right? Because that would be the other side of the war.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But just a shark fucking picture. Every nation going like, this is it. Fucking arms race.
Yeah.
Just like
oh, it's a dangerous koi, and it's like a Japanese one or whatever.
koi.
Yeah.
It's got to be shark. We got to have rules.
I don't know if they have sharks in some places.
But that's the thing. It's like, it's a fucking movie. What are you limiting it for?
Yeah, you're
We're
right.
like, hey man, in real life, fuck real life. This is movie time.
Yeah.
This ain't a podcast. This is a
Michigan.
fucking shark movie. Yes.
Jaws of Michigan.
Yes, bitch.
It's just a guy in a fucking hot dog eating contest.
Here's how it happened, right? So fucking every night when the Coney Dog place closes, they got leftover Coney dogs that go bad. Dude don't like to throw it out, so he takes it to one of the Great Lakes, pitches it in the lake. Somebody had disposed of a fucking baby great white shark. He's been eating these fucking hot dogs, so he's fucking massive and shit.
Wow, dude, I'm
know what I'm
already
saying?
in.
It's fucking
That's awesome,
dude.
bro. I'm already in.
Dude, call David Spade. Let's write that. Self-finance that fucking movie. I honestly, I had a conversation with my friend Logic. There's me going fucking. There's
I'll
a
throw
fucking
that.
big name for you. Logic was
I
in
like
the
Logic.
430.
Nice guy.
He's an amazing dude. Logic is in the 430 movie, and when he shot he is. When he shot his scene, we'd already finished the movie and stuff, so he could watch it. So I was like, come to my place, I'll show you the flick. So he watched the flick, and then after the flick, he was like, oh, I fucking love movies. He's like, before even hip hop, I loved movies and stuff. I found hip hop through movies. I found Wu-Tang through Quentin and stuff like that. He's like, I always wanted to make a movie. I almost made a movie with JJ. And I was like, JJ? And he's like, yeah. He's like, but it didn't happen. I was like, JJ?
From Good Times? No.
Yeah, fucking JJ, like JJ Kid Dynamite.
Yeah, what was his name? JJ
Abrams is the director I was talking about.
J.J.
But I
Abrams.
love that you went with
Who's
JJ
the JJ
Evans.
I'm thinking of? JJ Evans?
JJ Evans.
Yeah.
James Evans Sr.
I saw him at the airport once.
What? Jimmy Walker?
Jimmy Walker, that's who I'm thinking of, yeah.
There he is. Legend.
Oh, yeah.
Kid Dynamite.
Dynamite!
All right, so wait. So
you-
JJ, I was surprised that he had made, it's fucking JJ Abrams.
Yeah.
He made fucking one of the Star Wars, 2 of them. You'd imagine it could happen, but he's like, just didn't happen. I said, why? Is it difficult? Is it expensive? And he goes, no, it's kind of like Clerks. It's set in one location. And I was like, is it on the moon? And he goes, no, it's just in a record store. I said, bro, you can make that movie yourself. You don't need any help. I'm sure you got money from hip hop. Like, you can finance your own movie. And for all the years I've ever said to people, like, you can make a movie. Anybody can make a movie. You should make your own movie. Motherfucker was like, you're right. And he financed his own fucking movie. We went and shot it back in May up in Oregon in St. Helens. And it's called Paradise Records. And so I was a producer on it and I was his editor. Wow. And my God, it's so fucking wonderful. Like, it is legit good. He is born to be a filmmaker. And it's kind of a little irritating when a dude who is exceptionally good at one thing and made fucking billions doing it is now like, oh, I'm also good at I mean, this fucking dude's good at anything.
J.J. Abrams?
Yeah, no, fucking Logic.
Oh, Logic.
Logic fucking, like, he could do a Rubik's Cube in front of you in like 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Like,
He's
he's so crazy fucking talented shit. But him as a filmmaker, this movie Paradise Records, it's gonna be fucking, it's gonna hit huge. It is fucking awesome. He's the star, and his friend Tremaine is the second lead, and his friend T-Man is absolutely wonderful in the movie. But this dude wrote, directed, and fucking starred in it. And I was like so incredibly impressed because he's a legit great actor. Like, as you know, because I cut every frame. I saw every frame of the fucking footage. I was there on set when they shot it, but most of the time I was cutting the movie and shit. And every frame of film, I was like, this guy's fucking unnatural. So that movie is fucking wonderful, man.
Damn, Paradise Records.
Paradise Records will be out next year.
How do you know? I want to ask a little bit more about the 4:30 movie, but
Comes out September 13th.
September 13th.
It's Ken Jeong is in it. He's amazing. It's kind of the story of my young life. It's the story of the first date that I had in high school and stuff with my girlfriend.
Like
Kim
going to a
Walker.
movie, right?
When I took her to flicks and whatnot.
Yeah.
But in this flick, him and his friends, they're going to the movie theater to hang out for the day and skip from theater to theater to theater. If you've ever listened to Smodcast back in the day when me and Scott Mosier used to do it, there was this episode we did about Emo Kev, where I had these old recordings of me where I used to ride around on a bike in my hometown and fucking like, what am I doing? Like real existential crisis shit before I ever made Clerks, wondering what my future would be and stuff. So we played him on the Smodcast, and like Scott like mercilessly fucking died laughing. He just would attack it, guys like, oh my God, you sound so fucking dumb. But it was kind of wonderful to listen to and shit. Anyway, the movie is kind of based on that. So like it's based on that version of Emo Kev, as we called him in the podcast.
Okay.
Kid would ride around on his bike and be like, when is my life going to begin? So it's that kind of thing. Like
That's kind of cool.
There's a story. Bear McCreary did our score, and he's absolutely wonderful composer. But him and his brother did a song that ends the movie, and it's a fucking jam. It's total earworm, and you're like, oh my God. When like my friend put it on Shazam or whatever, because he's like, where have I heard that before? I was like, you never heard it. He just fucking created it and shit. But it's called 24 Karat Case of Love. Because in the movie, as in real life, on the episode of Smodcast that we did years ago, you hear me talking about my ex-girlfriend, and I was like, I got a 24-karat case of love. And that's what broke Mosier up the most. He was like, you fucking unbelievable fucking, he just attacked me and shit. So I put that in the flick. So Bear McCreary and his brother write this closing song for the movie, and he goes, you got to listen to it, man. I think you'll like it. And the hook of the song is, I got a 24-karat case of love. And I was like, oh my God. So I wrote to Bear and I was like, bro, you took the dumbest fucking shit I ever said on the earth and made it a pretty fucking wicked earworm hook for the song. And he goes, don't shit on that. He's going, you saying I got a 24-karat case of love is the kind of thing that a 16-year-old boy says.
Yeah. Because it's like, 24 karat real strong, or it's kind of mid?
It's strong. That was, for me, nothing gets stronger than a fucking 24 karat, because we didn't have diamonds in our world. I was lower. We were poor.
Yeah.
So like 24 karat gold is that my mom had a 24 karat gold wedding band.
Oh, yeah.
So 24 karat case of love, that's
my sister's divorced too.
Is that right?
Yeah. But
so
he
was
24 karat. So he took things from those moments where you're riding around your bike.
Well, he took that exact fucking line
That's awesome.
and made it the hook for the song. And he's like, never fucking regret saying that. He's like, that's what you say when you're 16. I didn't have the heart to tell him. I was like, really? I said that when I was 22, but whatever.
Dude, there's something so magical.
So wait, were you raised in Tennessee?
I was raised in Louisiana.
What part?
Yeah, in a place called Covington, Louisiana.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So how far is that from like?
It's from 1 hour from New Orleans north.
We shot Jane Silent Bob Reboot there. That's a fucking fantastic place.
No way.
Oh my God, Louisiana, so fucking good to us.
Yeah.
Like that was a movie I made
You
after I
premiered
had
a movie
the
there
heart
too,
attack.
didn't you?
Well, we went to the Joy Theater and showed Jane Silent Bob Reboot when we were on tour. But we shot there, and that was the post-heart attack movies. That was a movie where I was like, holy shit, I was supposed to be fucking dead. Like, so I'm just going to make the movie I want to make. Fuck everything else. And that was Jane Silent Bob Reboot. And so we had to go to Louisiana. We couldn't do it in Jersey because it's a road movie and stuff like that. And Louisiana had a fantastic fucking rebate. They had a great fucking crew, man. And the people were so fucking wonderful and shit. And we shot during Mardi Gras. So we took 2 days down. We actually shot on Mardi Gras at the courthouse because they were like, that's the only day we're closed. We're like, great, we'll use the courthouse that day. But everyone was so fucking cool, man. And I didn't even fuck with the party half of the city. Like the cast and people who flew in to be in the movie and shit, they would go to like, I went to Bourbon Street and
Right.
shit. I didn't even get that fucking far, man. It was just like
Well,
the
you had to work
neighborhoods
probably
one.
too. When you're putting a movie together, it's a lot. How do you know when like when you're ramping up to do a movie,
Yeah.
things get pretty intense pretty quick, right? And then there's just that day where you have to start. How crazy is that first day? Because that's such a, I mean, it's rare that there's such a huge leap that's going to be so, you can't go back. Like you are moving forward.
It's begun. You spend so much time trying to get to that moment that when the moment happens, you're already prepared. You better be fucking prepared. If you're not, it's like, what the fuck were you crying about all this time? Like you knew this was coming. You pushed for this. You wanted this.
Right.
That's why, like, after everything I do, no matter what, whether it works or doesn't work, there's two things I always say to myself. And generally, this is more helpful if it didn't work. One is like, you wanted this. Like, oh my God, you changed the course of human events to make this fucking movie happen and shit. Like you dreamed about this. You somehow found millions of dollars and convinced people to give up their time, do this fucking make pretend with you. So it don't matter if it didn't do what you want. You wanted this. You better fucking enjoy it because it's going to pass quick. And then the second thing I always tell myself is like, what was the alternative? Did you even have an alternative? Was the alternative to not do the thing? Then that's not the alternative because knowing that I could do the thing and knowing that I could accomplish it and then not doing the thing would eat at me like a fucking cancer. That's sad. When you know you can accomplish the thing, but you don't do it because you're like, nah, well, fucking what if somebody don't like it? Like I mentioned before, like
God,
we're dropping
a movie's
this.
so scary though.
Is all
It's like
creativity is
showing
scary.
your butthole to
But
somebody.
think about that's why this is a safe environment. You create a thing where you're like, these are my rules, my house, and I don't have. You don't worry when a new episode goes up. You don't even think about it. You feel like, oh, I recorded that a couple days ago or last week or something like that. But you've built the thing for yourself that is so fucking foolproof and you can sidestep the world of rejection and the world of no. You enter here and you created a world of yes for yourself. So you don't have that weird trepidation at the beginning of every show because you're like, I engineered this to be as easy for me as fucking breathing and shit. When you're making a flick or something like that, there are way more people involved and shit. And you've also been dying to do this. Sometimes it's taken 10 years to get to that fucking moment.
We've been working on this, trying to get this movie together. All the agents haven't done anything. So finally we got some of our own friends and stuff, and we're going to put in some of our own money.
That's what I was going to say. Like, dude, based on that Celsius case, there's no fucking way that you don't have enough of your own fucking screen. You probably got it in your pocket. Just be like,
oh, yeah, I wish, dude. You can have that thing, brother. I'm sending that to you.
It is so possible to do. It's just, I tell my kid all the time. My kid, who again,
Your daughter.
My daughter, Harley.
Yeah, she's in one of the movies.
She was in Quentin's movie. I always lead with that. She's been in a bunch of my movies, but nobody gives a fuck about Kevin Smith movies. She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I always lead with that. She was in a Quentin Tarantino movie.
That's
and
cool.
believe me, she leads with that too. She never leads with like, yeah, I was in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. But she played Jay's daughter in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Well, Johnny Depp's daughter. What was the one she had? Was that who it was?
Yoga Hosers. The one that I got beat the fuck out of. I mean, you think I got beat up for putting a picture of myself crying on the internet. Yoga Hosers, I got fucking... Ooh, they were like bend over and it went in dry, son, dry. I remember AV Club was like, ew, Kevin Smith and Johnny Depp are going to force us to watch a play date with their children. And it's like, bro, you don't have to watch it. But I've been around the internet for a while, so I've watched the culture get like way more toxic. And here's the thing. For as long as I've been online since 1996, right? So I remember the first troll where it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why would you spend time here? And
You probably got one of the first trolls ever.
Legit, 100%. I remember there was a dude, I reached out to a troll, like to try to understand. And this was a dude who was on Ain't It Cool News. And he had written some shit about me, but it was incorrect. That was the thing. Like if somebody wrote something about me as their opinion, what the fuck? Hurts, but it's like you can't do anything. But this dude had said something completely incorrect. So I wrote to him because you click on their name and hit their email. So I wrote to the dude. I was like, hey, I'm Kevin Smith, and you said this shit about me. I was like, I can't do anything about your opinion. But the one thing you said is factually untrue. So I just wanted to correct that if you're going to go out and say things and stuff like that. And the dude wrote back, I don't know who you are, but I know you're one of the names that if I throw out on Ain't It Cool News, a bunch of people will jump to your defense. And that's how I like to hang out at night. And that blew my fucking mind. This was in the year 2000. I want to say maybe, yeah, because it was before I did Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which has the whole ending of them going around beating up people on the fucking internet from a message chat board. So I was there for, I'm not saying that was the first troll, but that was one of my first trolls. Not
And
even
he
the
said he
first.
liked doing it because he liked the...
That's how he spent his night. Like that, and that's a legit fucking response that a human being sent me. That's not a made up story.
Right.
That's not like I met a guy who said that happened, and I was so fucking flabbergasted by that. I'm not anymore because I understand that's cheap entertainment for somebody. Like fuck going to the movies or fuck going out to dinner. It's like we fucking order some fucking
pizza and let's have
Postmates, and I'm just gonna jump online and be like, this guy
some
sucks,
chili or whatever,
and then watch people react and hit on that and shit. So I've watched the internet get way more toxic and shit like that. But at the same time, as much as the internet gives everybody access to you who can like fucking shit on your day or try to shit in your mouth, it also gives you access to the most wonderful people in the world who say these amazing things about you that keep you going. And as previously spoken about, I never know how to feel about myself because I'm broken. So it helps. I'm obviously part of the reason I do the job is because I like when people are like, good job. Like my whole career has been about trying to produce work that's good enough for mom to put up on the fridge. Like when you get an A or a B on the paper and she put that shit up on the fridge. The fridge is just the world at this point. And you hope that it's good enough that the paper goes up and gets noticed and shit. And you take a lot of slings and arrows even if you like to do a thing. You know, so like there are the trolls who just go after you because like it's entertaining to watch other people blood in the water and shit like that. But then there are people that legitimately fucking hate you and what you do. Like, and hate watch you. Just the way like Howard Stern used to have people who like, if you like Howard Stern, you listen for 10 minutes. If you hate Howard Stern, you listen for fucking 20. So I get it. And I've been around on the internet long enough where I know like I am one of those figures and shit, but it always baffles me. Like I put up a fucking post on my Instagram today about, hey, I'm doing this podcast with my kid, beardless, dickless me. And naturally.
That's your daughter?
That's my kid. That's Harley. She's a good kid, man. She's got a good head on her shoulders and shit. She was the one that asked me to go vegan because she was vegan. And after the heart attack, she was like, Dad, like, please, like, just try it. It could help. Because the nutritionist in the hospital was like, you might want to consider going plant-based because 100% blockage in your LAD, that's really bad. Oh, so my kid was like, can you please try it? And I was like, you know what? I'll do it for you. I'll try for a few months. And, she saved my life, to be honest with you. But I also know my kid is part me, so she's very strategic. She, as a vegan, she was like, if I could flip this motherfucker, he'll be a big voice for the movement and shit like that. So she did. But
can you still get erection if you're vegan or not?
Like an erection?
Do you still have like a...
I'm hard now, son.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, fuck yeah. You get very hard even. What would be the idea in not getting hard as a vegan?
I just didn't
Not
know
enough red meat in your diet?
something like that. If you don't have enough iron or whatever.
I'm on blood thinners because of the heart attack.
Does that help your wiener get harder?
No. In fact, it's a little more challenging. Not challenging. It's just the hard on you get it's workable. It's fuckable dick.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh my God, this can fucking crack steel.
Oh, yeah.
You're Jackie Chan with like 8 fucking things.
I've never had that one.
Oh, I do in the morning. That's the
Really?
morning wood. Oh, fuck, dude. I wake up with a hard on that's impressive. If I was a dick pic guy, that's when I'd be like, and put it online and shit like that. But it always goes to waste because my wife, like, she's like, I don't fuck before noon. So we've been together like 25 fucking years almost, and or over. And, at this point, I understand that I'm going to wait until like 1 or 2. So I'm a little sad because I'm not saying she's missing out. She ain't missing shit. She fucked me enough. She knows. I was saying before, I tell people all the time, like, you can achieve your goals. You just have to modify your expectations. I was like, my wife, I always use my wife as an example. I was like, Jennifer didn't want to marry a guy that fucking looked like me. Like I saw the dude she dated in high school. She was a cheerleader. She dated fucking football players.
Your wife
like
did? Oh, yeah. Wow.
But when we met, she was like, all right, he ain't my ideal, but like, I can work with this. So she modified her expectations, and we've been together for a quarter century. So if you modify, some people are like, that's lowering. I'm like, no. Modifying your expectations. You can be happy if you just modify what you expect and shit.
Do you have sex under the covers when you're married or on top of the covers?
Under. And I'm also a shirt on guy. I've never taken my shirt off during sex. You take your shirt off during sex? You look like, here.
I don't that much.
You're one of those dudes who probably you're making out, and it's like in the movies and shit. You make out and then you push back, you take your shirt off. Like that's a part of the seduction.
I walk out of the room
I could never
backwards.
do that. If I did that and stepped back, took my shirt off, my tits came out, they'd be like,
oh, let me slurp on those little fucking hammocks.
You take your shirt off, don't you? don't you?
No, sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. I'll walk out of the room backwards though, because I don't like people seeing my butt, I guess.
Are you serious? Wow,
So
what's
I'll
going
kind of
on
walk,
there?
huh?
What's
Not that
going
I
on?
think it is. I don't know.
It's your least attractive feature?
I think it's fine, but it's
So
like
after everyone's already, the situation's gotten all cummy and shit, and everybody's on a different plane altogether, and their senses are coming back, you're like, if they see my ass, I'm fucked.
well, I
Turns
just
out you were just fucked. You at that point, they could see your ass. Job's done, son.
Yeah, but nobody can see your butt while you're making love to them. It's just the way it's all how God did it.
If that is not the title of your biography, I object. Nobody can see your butt if you're making love to him. The Theo Von story. And other whimsical notions by Theo Von.
Yeah, but it's like you're only if
You think your ass is your worst feature?
No,
so
I just
you'll
don't-
walk out of the room dick first. We're dick backwards. So you're like, look, keep looking there. Don't look at
Yeah,
this.
just like, I'll
never
keep
mind
chatting.
the man. Pay attention to the man. No attention to the man behind the curtain. Your ass is the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Your dick is what they all see. Your ass is the actual wizard.
Oh yeah.
Pulling levers and shit.
My wiener's the cowardly lion, dude. That's what it is, dude. If I only had an
Blood thinners, but to go
Right.
back to the original question, you can be vegan and get the job.
okay, yeah, I
very,
just don't
very
know.
easily.
I don't come across. I mean, I guess I know vegans, but I don't know. They don't
do.
tell you when you meet
You
them.
do. What I love about you, Theo, is your act is like, I don't know a lot of things, but you're one of the smartest people I've seen doing
You
this
think
job.
so?
You're smart, but more importantly, you're clever. Clever goes a lot further than smart in this world. I am not smart. I've been clever. I don't even think I'm 100% clever all the time, but I think I'm very clever about what to do about being Kevin Smith for a living. So I'm myopically clever on one very small plane, which has kind of worked out for me.
Managing yourself well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think you're smart. I think you're way smarter than you like to let on and shit. You're like Jay. Like Jay is also like, oh, no, nothing. But I'm like, motherfucker, like don't play me. Like I write your character. I
Right.
know what your intelligence level really is and stuff. And while the Jay character is based on who Jay was when he was 16 years old, he's far smarter than that. And also, to be fair, far more responsible. Hands down the best father I've ever met in my entire life. He's a wonderful fucking dad to like 2 children. Shocking because he was like terrible to himself for most of his life.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. I met him at some meetings and stuff.
Yeah, he's fuck.
I think
you
he's
want to talk
outspoken about that,
He
so
is.
it's
He's
not- yeah.
We did a whole podcast for years, and we still kind of quasi do. Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, which is fucking. He's coming up, I think, on his 14th anniversary of being sober, and the podcast was predicated on like we'd go to bars and do this live show where everyone else is drunk, he's the only sober person there, and it was all about keeping him sober. So he would sit there and tell his story about
that's cool.
one time I did this. So it was kind of like going to a very fun AA meeting where everyone else was drinking except the guy who was witnessing and shit like that. And we got over 100, 200 episodes out of that and shit. It was crazy. And we toured off of that. Like Jason from the movies, he didn't really make a lot of money being in Kevin Smith films. You don't make money being in Kevin Smith films. You don't make money making them either. But he made enough money to buy a house because of Jay and Silent Bob.
Awesome.
So we were clever with the podcast, but you're smart. This is fucking smart. So I know you're smart.
Yeah, sometimes I think I'm afraid to try and like. I feel like sometimes it's just hard for me to get like my information and how it's hard to get it like clear from my brain to my mouth sometimes.
Is that right?
And I think I get afraid to speak up on certain things like
I don't know, man. I saw you
I don't know, 'cause some people seem
Bernie
so
Sanders, and you seemed very well fucking.
Yeah, I mean, I had a
I
couple-
literally watched that for a few minutes and was
that
like,
was fun, dude.
I was like, this, like, I could not have done that. I could talk to people, but I'd be like, Bernie, did you ever see Clerks? Like, that's where my life begins and ends and shit. But you could literally sit there and have a political conversation. I'm politically not astute.
Yeah,
so
me
I don't think
neither.
I could hold that conversation. But you did, and you sounded intelligent.
Thanks, man.
And I don't mean like you sound smart, but you represent them. Like, that's why when you're like, I don't know nothing, that's bullshit. Like, I couldn't have done, and this ain't me kissing ass or licking knob. I didn't watch the whole interview. But for the few minutes I watched, I was like, this guy's fucking smart.
Well, there's some
That
stuff
made me happy to come because Jordan, Jason Muse's wife, she runs our business. She was like, I was like, I gotta go. I'm going. She's like, where are you going? I was like, going to Theo Von's podcast. She goes, she goes, that's right. I love him.
Oh, that's
I was
sweet
like,
of
you
her.
fuck with him? And she goes, you think he's so funny and shit like that?
What's her name?
Jordan Monsanto.
That's sweet of her, man. Yeah, I think. Well, he cares about some of the same stuff I
Believe
care
me,
about.
as our business manager, I'm gonna go with her. I was like, I'm gonna take a picture of that Celsius case and be like, we're
What are
doing
we
shit
doing?
wrong. I know people in the audience like, stop talking about it, but you don't know. You don't know, kids. I know what that means. I'm like, this guy's figured it the fuck out, man. I don't want to. Do you have a network, or is it just your show?
No, just us.
Really?
Yeah, it's just.
If you ever start a network, I'll be on it.
You will?
Fucking heartbeat. Are you kidding me? I'll get.
We'll plug you in the other room, dude.
Dude, I'll never leave. That much free Celsius and shit. I mean, he's got his own place.
You'll
like
never
I came
sleep.
into an office. Like
You'll never
I
sleep.
do my shit at home in a spare room. Like
I started in my kitchen, man, and now we just have to have a place for people to be at to work. And
what is that? What do you mean? Like, so while the show's not going on, you need people in an office?
Yeah, just the producers, just so they can be around.
Isn't
so
it crazy?
They can,
Like the infrastructure that like
we don't have much. We have three.
Yeah,
three
it ain't a huge
coworkers.
operation. But,
Yeah, but yeah, it's
but
fun.
it's a place. Like this is unless they're giving you this place free, you got to pay for.
No,
this
they're
place.
not. Did you if you're a
I never want to hear this. I'm not a smart person. Shit, ever again.
what was that?
Jay, you and Muse in a movie, bro. Never mind David Spade. I ain't trying to throw him under the bus, but fucking you and Jay in a movie. You could be his brother. Oh fuck, shit. Hold on. This is happening in real time.
What would we do? I wonder.
Do you want to come? We're doing a movie next year, early next year, Jay and Silent Bob's Store Wars, which is about they have a dispensary and then somebody opens a dispensary across the street and they're opposites in every way and they battle for the whole movie. You legit, I'm not just saying this because I'm on the podcast, but like your vibe is very Jay-like. Number one, I know this would make my boss happy. Like Jordan would be like, yes, bitch. You could come in and play fucking Jay's brother who's never been in a movie before.
Jordan Monsanto, the person you just told me?
That's Jordan, Jay's wife, Jordan, who runs our company and shit. She produces the movies as well.
She does.
Yeah, she's been our producer for years. She's been producing since like Tusk.
Wow, she's really smart.
Fuck, smarter than both you and I. And I know how smart you are, as previously said.
You
she
wrote
ain't that
me
smart
in.
though. She ain't got one of those. Fucking
You wrote
things.
this character. I'm fictional.
I'm telling you, bro. You playing Jay's brother makes
Wow,
sense.
really, dude?
100%. I mean, look, I ain't offering you no great shakes. Being in a Kevin Smith movie helps
No, I
nobody's
just heard it
fucking
doesn't make
career.
any money. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
dude.
true. And that's their daughter, Logan. And then they have a little boy now named Lucian. He wasn't alive when we did this picture.
that's
He came
sweet.
afterwards. That was Clerks 3. So,
wanna-
yes.
Yeah, so it's dope beef. They got two dispensaries that are having dope beef, basically.
Yeah. Basically.
That's cool.
It's a war.
Yeah, we need that kind of fucking shit.
That's a comedy, but it ain't no studio comedy. Like, no studio.
How much does it cost to make a movie like that? What's kind
10
of like your
million
highest
bucks.
budget?
That'll be 10. If I can get, I could get between 8 to 10 for a Jay and Silent Bob type thing, Clerks 3 thing. The 4:30 movie, which is coming out September 13th. Presumably, that's what we're here to talk about. But I just came to hang.
Yeah.
I just came for the sales.
No, I want to talk a little bit more about that time.
Oh, we
too.
don't have to. But the 4:30 movie cost $3 million.
Wow.
Saban financed that.
And was it Saban?
Saban.
Have they financed some of your other films too?
They did Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Okay.
Years and years ago, they also did the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Did they and how much can you make a real return on a movie like that?
You can make a return. You can make your money back and make a little scratch.
Yeah.
I think I can stay in the business for as long as for 3 decades when I'm well past my fucking past due date, because I could always pivot to inexpensive.
Right.
So a lot of people are like, well, it's got to be fucking 20 million or I can't do it. I'm the other guy where I'm like, oh, I could do it for 3.
Yeah.
Whether we could do it for 3 or not. It's like, we'll get there. We'll cram it into that fucking number.
I wouldn't want to be anything fancy.
Yeah, and the privilege of like making a movie, like everyone don't get to do that. It's a weird fucking
That's what I think
proposition
about.
where you say to somebody like, "Can you give me a lot of money to make pretend?" Most people are like, just make pretend by themselves for free and shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't quite do it. And I realize like my job is it's full of shit, man. It's a pack of lies. Basically, what I try to do in life is artificially capture a moment that happened to me that made my head or heart feel something so overwhelmingly wonderful that I was like, if I could fucking capture that and put it in a movie and show people how it felt, I bet you other people would identify with that. So it was like the
Bridges
4:30
of Madison
movie.
County.
I mean, I guess absolutely to some degree, right? If that was your speed or whatever the fuck. But like the idea of like I was on set, and I guess it was because the 4:30 movie is the first movie.
4:30 is
I've
cool because
not
it's like
made-
in the 80s. Is it 80s or 90s? 80s it takes
Set in the
place.
80s, 1986.
Yeah, dude, it just had this free when your imagination where if you wondered if a girl cared about you, all you could do is lay on your back in your fucking room floor, listening to like Nirvana or
mixtape
something.
that you
Yes,
put together
and
over
just
and over.
wondering and praying and pining and just dry humping the carpet that
Wow.
this woman cared about you.
Shy of dry humping the carpet, which I ain't against, but that was never a part of my repertoire. You've nailed the feeling. And me trying to capture that fucking feeling. Essentially,
Shag
that's what
carpet,
I do
you know?
in movies, we weren't that rich. Oh my God, were you rich?
No, we weren't, but
Where'd you get
I'd heard
shag
about
carpet?
shag carpet, and I thought that's what you were supposed to do.
You heard about it.
Yeah.
Did you have carpet period?
Oh, yeah, we had
had
carpet,
wall
dude.
to wall.
You
Like the
did?
cheap shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
not you know what? Yeah, rugs are expensive. Carpeting is less expensive.
You could pee on our carpet.
Yeah, well, and others did on ours. In protest and sometimes not.
Dude, I
Capturing the
think-
moment though,
yeah.
being a liar for a living and shit like that. That is what making movies is all about. That's why I like podcasting, because it ain't a lie. Basically, everything's true. Like you just sit down, start talking, having conversation.
Yeah, you try your
Movies
best.
is like one day. Someone will try, maybe not this particular moment, but and I've done it in movies. You try to capture a podcast in a movie, like in Tusk, we have them podcasting and stuff. And once again, that's an artificial snapshot of a moment that made me feel fucking absolute joy. And then you give that moment to the movie, and then the movie goes out to the audience, and the moment stops being just yours. And then for the rest of your life, you interact with that movie. Periodically it comes up and you're watching it and you see this like wonderful, this approximation, this half-ass approximation of some amazing thing that had happened to you. And you go, oh shit, that's right. Like that was mine. But then I shared it with the art form and stuff.
When it comes to preparing for a movie, what are some pitfalls that people can avoid? It might be little things. It
Yeah,
might
the
just be
biggest
energy,
pitfall-
being focused, having enough time. Like,
Honestly, the biggest pitfall, I mean, you'll never have enough time. You'll never have enough money. I don't give a shit what your budget is. Like whether you have 3 million or 300, every filmmaker, every producer always has the same complaint, which is like not enough time, not enough money. And even if you've got more money, you think that'll ameliorate it. It just winds up being the same fucking problem, economy of scale. So don't worry about that shit. This is what you need to think about, I think, primarily. Be prepared in as much as like, if you're starting for the first time, you've never done this shit before. Obviously, this isn't advice for people who do it for a living. Let's say you're a first timer. Rehearse the fuck out of that shit. Like a month. On Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, we rehearsed for a month before we went near a set. That way, your take ratio is going to be real low. Now, some people will be like, what does that matter in the age of fucking digital video? Back when you were shooting film, yes, it was expensive to process film. Time is money on a movie fucking set. So if you can accomplish it in one take, fucking move on. Like the story of my life, and I've told it before publicly, so this might not be news to some, but how I've been able to keep doing what I've been doing for 30 years. If people are like, I hate him, why does he keep fucking, how come he still works? This is why. I don't strive for excellence. I ain't Chris fucking Nolan. Believe me, every critic will tell you that and shit. Chris Nolan strives for excellence. I, from the beginning of my career, from Clerks forward, was never like, let's make it fucking perfect. If I was striving for perfection, I don't think I've ever made my first film yet. I'd still be sitting there frozen. What will it be like? Good enough will take you very far. Good enough has taken me 30 years. So on the set of Clerks, we'd be shooting. I'd be like, cut. All right, that's good enough. Let's move on. Let's do something else. Good enough has gotten me here. Has gotten me all the way to this fucking chair. Good enough will get you as far as you need to go. Now, that's probably not winner talk, right? Like fucking, if you want to win an Oscar, you got to leave it on the table. You got to fucking like make people hurt. Fucking make those movies where like Leonardo's fighting a fucking bear and shit, and fucking make people sit in the snow to do it because everyone's got to be miserable in order for this to read and shit like that. I ain't that guy. I ain't that committed to it. I just like to make pretend, maybe get a little money for it and shit. So I can't go in authentically like that, where it's like, oh, fucking everything. It's going to be perfection at the cost of everybody. And there are directors who do that. And I respect them, I guess, a little bit. I wouldn't do that to my cast and crew, but like those movies are fucking successful because they've got a vision and a drive and the passion of a filmmaker. If I were ever trying to make one of those things, it wouldn't happen. Number one, I don't have the talent. Number two, I don't have that kind of patience and shit. Number three, I can't do that to other people. I want people leaving my set going, I had a good ass fucking time. That's how I keep my budget's low. Crew comes back and they'll work for fucking scale because they're like, look, you don't pay a lot, but fucking it's a good time on a set. You're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to have fucking happy memories and shit like that. Good enough gets me to the set. If I've rehearsed enough before we shoot and I'm on set, 1-2 takes tops, and I'm like, good enough, moving on. Wow. And that time all adds up. That's fucking money. So strive for perfection, I guess, at some point in your career. I honestly never have, and I've just been doing it for 30 years. And some people out there, I'm sure the Letterboxd crowd would be disgusted by that thought. Like, oh, he doesn't even fucking try. Clearly I try. I've been doing this for 30 fucking years.
Well, you show up.
I don't
That's trying.
try, and beyond show up, I deliver. I just don't fucking make everyone's life miserable to fucking deliver something that's like, I've got a vision. It's
Right.
like, I got an idea where we're going and shit. Let's all have a good time doing it. Otherwise, what was the fucking point? If people on a set are miserable when you make pretend for a living, everybody has fucking failed and you shouldn't be doing this. Like, it should be fun. It's making pretend for a living. And I understand, there are some people like, no, man, art is pain and is good. Not really. This is an art form. Don't get me wrong, but like, doesn't have to be fucking painful. It's very cathartic. And a lot of folks can't do that fucking pivot. Like, it's got to be this. And I don't believe in that. So I'm the guy that's just like, that's good enough. Let's move it on. Every one of my movies is good enough. Don't have to be great and shit. I saw somebody the other day on Twitter was like, it's got like one or two really brilliant ideas in his movie and the rest is just some fucking horse shit. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's it. You don't have to keep watching them if you don't like that kind of thing. But I'm lucky I got one or two good ideas in the horse shit, like especially 30 years into my career.
No, it's fascinating, man. Because if you're always aiming for perfection, then, but a lot of times if you showing up and delivering and good enough, because most people don't even go that far, the fear of of not being prepared for perfection prevents them sometimes from taking the step.
Or it's the fear of not being able to achieve perfection. I just accept early on. It's like, I'm never going to be fucking perfect. And you're never the dictator of this anyway. And I don't mean the dictator like a guy or an autocrat. You don't get to dictate whether or not that thing is what it is that you say it is. You make a thing with one intention, the audience is going to tell you what that fucking thing is, what it means and shit like that. This is a story I tell an awful lot. So if you've heard this in another place, I apologize. But when I was making the 4:30 movie, and this ain't to bring it back to that,
no,
but like it's relevant to just this conversation. I was shooting a scene with the three boys. They're in the car and they're just like fucking goofing off while they're driving, dancing while they drive, playing Chaka Khan's "I Feel For You." So they were, for direction, I went over to the vehicle and I was like, kids, you're just goofing around and dance, whatever the fuck, do whatever you want, just as long as you make it iconic. And I walked away. And that fucked all of their heads up. I had no idea. Like Nick, who plays Bernie in the movie, was like, that's your fucking direction? Make it iconic? That's a little fucking pressure, don't you think? And I was like, well, no. I said, oh. Then I realized I have the benefit of experience. I've been doing this for 30 years. I was like, what I mean by that is that every decision that you're making here in real time is like dropping a stone in the water and watching the ripple effect or the butterfly effect. Like, it's crazy what people years from now will concentrate on about this weird little moment in the movie that you're just like, what should we do? And I'm like, oh, just make it iconic. And I mean that because people will be watching this scene forever and it will hopefully connect with them, even if it's somebody who wasn't alive in 1986, a current day teenager who could see that, fucking sense that joy that's in the scene. So these things we do in the moment, like this it passes and it's just a fucking Kevin Smith movie, but I promise you, this movie is going to be somebody's fucking life preserver. This is going to be their buoy that's going to keep them fucking drowning. And I know that because I've been doing it 30 years. And I was at the Dallas Fan Expo like last year. And a guy came up to me, he was like in his maybe early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. And he had a copy of Mallrats on VHS. Very well-worn copy and shit. I was like, holy shit, look at this fucking ancient piece of Americana. I mean, how many times you watch this? He goes, a lot. I said, who am I signing it to? He goes, I want you to make it out to my son. Gave me his son's name. I was like, what's the story there? You get a few minutes to have this exchange. Then my man rocks my fucking world. And he goes, I'm going to give this to my son when he's older. He's gone, this is the movie that saved my life. And I'm like, thank you. And you hear that a lot. I'm sure you've heard that too, where people are like, bro, your show saved my life, or blah, blah, blah. Or sometimes I'm driving, you're the difference between me going crazy and not. Or I saw your stand-up special, it made me fucking laugh. And I needed that on that day because I was circling the fucking drain. So in this business, we have experience with people that perhaps overly express it by saying something like, oh my God, fucking your shit saved my life and stuff. So I've heard that sentiment and I know how to receive it. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. That's so kind. And he goes, no, I'm serious. He's going, my father used to beat the shit out of me every day after school. I'd come home and he would mercilessly, relentlessly beat me to the point of fucking near dying.
Wow.
He's like, and then I would crawl to my bedroom, bloody mess, and I would close the bedroom door and I'd put in Mallrats and I would escape to the mall with T.S. and Brody and Jay and Silent Bob. And he's going, and that was my happy place. And that's how I survived living with my father through this fucking tape. He goes, now I have a son. And he's going, and I would never be the piece of shit that my fucking father was to me my whole life. Wow. And I want to give my kid this tape when he's old enough so he understands he could survive anything because his father survived the absolute worst. And this was what he clung to.
Wow.
And naturally, I gave him a big hug, and I was like, no, dude, you survived that shit. Like, fucking, this is just a movie that might have helped. But, like, when you share of yourself like that, you go off and make, and, you know, it don't matter what it is. When it comes to movies, they have this weird impact. It doesn't matter what we do when it comes to this show, when it comes to your live shows. But particularly when you make something like a movie, people cherish that kind of thing because you're in and out. There's an engagement period. 90 minutes to 2 hours is going to take you on a ride and then bring you back and leave you where you were. So everyone knows what to expect in that. And over the course of their lifetime, they've turned to movies in times of trial.
Oh, yeah. I watch Family Man every year to feel good.
So you create that and you become that for somebody else. So the movie you're talking about making with Spade, I guarantee you one day somebody comes up to you and tells you a story as fucking heartbreaking yet as wonderful as that, which is like something you didn't even give that much thought to. Like if my man came up to you, he was like, Dogma saved my life. I'd be like, oh, I understand it, man. Like fucking, I worked hard on that. And that movie's pretty fucking profound on some levels and shit. Yes, it has a lot of butt fucking jokes, but I like to balance it out. But when somebody tells you like Mallrats saved their life, you're like, I wasn't thinking of that when I made that movie. Do you think 25-year-old Kevin Smith was going, this is going to save somebody's life? Hold on. Jay, get ready to fucking swing me across the fucking mall. And you know, you don't think about that. So when I told the kids, make it iconic, that's what it comes down to. Even the things you're not thinking about that as being important, you think are dismissive or just, oh, it's just a moment in a movie. Someone will find that as the buoy that keeps them from fucking drowning. So every moment then is kind of important, but isn't that the lesson of life in general? Every moment is kind of important, man. Like, you know, when I was in the nut house, they say all sorts of simplistic shit, which is fucking really helpful. You can put it on a towel and stuff in a kitchen, aphorism or whatever the fuck. And what they say, every day is a gift. That's why it's called the present. And it's kind of true. Like, it's absolutely true. Like, so often we're so fucking bored as a species that we don't think about, like, you're only going to get so many breaths. You're only going to get so many heartbeats and shit like that. And I always tell my wife after the heart attack, I was like, I'm living on borrowed time. And she's like, well, that's fucking macabre. And I was like, no, I'm painfully aware. We're all living on borrowed time. I'm just fucking well aware of it. Act accordingly.
Do you think, like, as a creator, did you ever want to invent something? Did you ever also think about inventing something, but you didn't do it? Because a lot of times people who are creative think about things like, is there ever been
not
one?
An invention like fucking Floby or something
right,
like
but
that.
anyone that kind of stood out in your head or something? Because I thought, like,
I've been trying to make this movie Moose Jaws for 10 years. One day it's going to happen. I'm going to find the money for it. And eventually I'm going to get to the place where I'm like, you know what? I'll just put up my house. I ain't got Theo Von money and shit, but I got a nice house where I could probably.
You can live in that Celsius cooler if you want.
I will. I'll sell my house, live there. I'm like, honey, get ready.
Because I always say, like, who invented the swimming pool or whatever? Like, I always think about who invented certain stuff, you know, or like, and then I think if I would want to have an invention, like I thought of, I used to think there was a dog collar or whatever that because they had a lot of howling dogs by us when I was a kid. And so if it howled, it would help the dog learn how to howl more melodically or whatever, or like
adorable.
Musically, you know, so eventually the howls.
It's not just like, oh, it's like, oh, there's somebody to howl with. Because they always harmonize when there's more than one.
Right, so then
for
it's
the
almost
lonely
like,
dog, it's almost like having a pocket pal.
Like Belle Biv, Dog Bo, or Dog Bo, or something. Like a
totally
Mezzo Spaniel or whatever.
It's a first draft for a name, but I like where you're going with it.
Okay, good, yeah. But wouldn't it be beautiful if you're laying there and one of them howls, you're like, these motherfuckers, but then they're like, whoo, whoo, whoo.
Totally, and they're all fucking singing in unison and shit.
So I thought if you could do a group collar, like for a neighborhood or small region, I thought that would be pretty cool.
And then fucking they're the next Nirvana. 3 neighborhood dogs that just got together and have these harmonizing collars. Yeah. And people are like, he's singing exactly how I fucking feel. I don't know what he's saying, but that's how I feel. That's a beautiful thing about art. You don't even have to know the lyrics to a song by Dog Nirvana. You just feel it when you play it. It's why I wish I was in a different art form. If I was a singer, I can open up my mouth, sing a note, and you'd know how I felt. That'd be me, my self-expression. If I was a painter, I could take a blank canvas, put some color on it, you'd know how I felt. But I'm a director. I chose directing as an art form. It's the dumbest art form because that's where you say shit like, I need to self-express. Give me $20 million and Ben Affleck stat. It's not the best art form for a guy like me. I always felt like me in film was like me trying, like I took Spanish in high school, 4 years of Spanish, but very minimal, un poco Spanish. So I always think of me as a filmmaker as like somebody who took 4 years of high school Spanish, you know, got C's to D's, and then tries to go to Spain and passes as a local.
Oh, I see what you're
Like
saying.
visually speaking, visual storytelling is not my first language. Like this shit, if movies were this, like just two dudes sitting down and talking, fuck.
Yeah, you'd be
I'd
damn
be
Jerry
Spielberg,
Garcia.
son.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Jerry Garcia, man. I'd be making that Theo Von money and shit.
Right on. You've gotten, but did you ever think of an invention? I just think
No.
creative people always wonder if they think of inventions, you know?
I don't. I'm not creative. I guess you've struck the nerve. I'm not creative because I would think of an invention if I did, but I never.
I doubt that.
I never.
I know
I'm too
that's not true.
self-involved. My head's up.
You
my own
created a
ass.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, but just about me and my world and shit. Very myopic. So no, I've never thought like, ooh, this invention would be good for others. I've never like done something. There's like gotta be a better way.
You've gotten to direct a lot of, you got to direct George Carlin, you've gotten to direct Ben Affleck. Anything that stands out to you about talented men like that in general, or talented actors in general, anything that they all have in common, or something that you notice about people that are able to grab people's attention?
It's a cool question. I like it. Let me see. Is there such a thing as like that person's got it? I do believe in that. Like,
Yeah, I
what
guess
are the
that's what
kids
I'm
called
asking.
today? Riz?
Riz, yeah. Aura.
Aura, that's the new word? Thank
Yeah.
you.
I
Thank
think anyway. I'm not sure.
Anytime I get a new word, I dial my clock back a little bit. Aura, kids. But let's just go with the Riz, which was like, 10 minutes ago or whatever the fuck. The ones that got the Riz, those are the ones you know about. Like they work a lot because they've got this like natural charisma where it's like camera loves them. They know how to be exactly in front of a camera. You know, somebody like Brad Pitt, born to be in front of a camera. Yeah. You know, and one could argue like, well, over time he learned how to be in front of a camera. Sure, maybe, but like, number one, he's attractive to look at. In the movies, we like to look at attractive people and stuff. Number two, he seems very relaxed and natural. So you never like, he's acting. It almost seems like he's fucking underacting a lot of times. He's just not phoning it in, but he ain't trying, man. You don't get the feeling this thirsty motherfucker is really going for it. Just there. And he eats all the time in the movies. He's always just sitting there fucking eating and shit.
Yeah.
Casual as fuck. So that dude's got like dripping with charisma. That's why he's a goddamn movie star. So all of them, when you reach that level, like where you're casting people who've been in other things that are famous, they all got the Riz. They're all Jedis. Like at a certain point, you start working with complete Jedis across the board. It's just a fucking matter of how Jedi are they? How fucking powerful are they and stuff? Like everyone could do it, but like some people are exceptional. So Michael Parks, the guy that was in Red State for us and Tusk, he's the crazy old man in Red State and Tusk. He passed on, rest in power. That dude was like, brilliant. The finest actor I've ever met, my best actor I've ever met in my life. He gives an 8-minute hate speech in Red State that like, I'm not going to say it almost convinces you, but like you forget that it's a vile fucking speech that he's giving because it's delivered so incredibly well and through the Southern patois that he chose and stuff. That guy has had it. He's passed now. But yes, to answer the question, absolutely. I think it's there's other words for it. People, you always say, they got it. But for lack of a better description, it would be the Riz. They got the Riz and ready to go, man. Like extra.
Do you think it's kind of gross how the media always takes pictures of Ben Affleck looking sad, or trying to make him look sad?
That's only because the public's interested in it. Like if they did it once and nobody clicked on it, they wouldn't fucking run that story again. But people find it fascinating where they're like, why is that guy who must be so rich and has it all, why does he look like that? And you got to think
know he
about
struggles with
this
addiction, right? They know that that's happening. So, like, isn't it gross then at that point if you know somebody has because alcoholism?
Do I think it's fair? No, but like he knew the job was dangerous when he took it. He's in a high profile public position. Unfortunately, that comes along with it. You can't just sign up for movie star, worldwide, global fame, and go like, yeah, but nobody can take pictures of me when I'm not in a good mood, right? Like that's part of the rule. Like if you go out in the world. We live in a world of cameras. That's going to happen. Yeah, but it only keeps happening because they did it once and people clicked on it and found it interesting and then started making memes about it. So then people keep feeding the beast. So do I think it's fair? Well, let's break it down like this. I'll break it down like a Catholic. Ben's life is pretty wonderful. From the outside, it looks like. And even from the inside, knowing him, it's pretty wonderful. And Ben's gotten to see a lot of his dreams come true. If the cost is every once in a while, somebody's like, he looks fucking sad when he's drinking Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got to let that shit go. And now that's easy for me to say as a guy who like still finds himself dipping into the comments going, what are they saying about me? Which is a fucking recipe for disaster. Ben is not that guy. As far as I know, Ben has never had a social media account. I mean, he's had a social media account, but somebody else fed into it. He was not the guy posting. So he ain't looking for that shit. He's not real public and stuff. But it comes along with the job. If you're going to be the guy who, you know, you were one half of the Good Will Hunting boys that the whole world fell in love with. You took your moms to the Oscars? Come on. There's nothing cuter about that. They're masshole kids and whatnot. And, you know, a lot of...
And the Patriots won so much.
And the fervency that goes along with that.
Yeah,
but then
fuck 'em, you're right.
sometimes... Not fuck them.
No, yeah, sorry, but yeah,
It's just comes along with it. So if you don't want that anymore,
everything.
Give up the other thing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
it's
it's a byproduct of the job that you've chosen.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if Ben was a teacher in Cambridge, he could go out, smoke a cigarette, drink Dunkin' Donuts, and look like he's having an existential crisis all he wants, and nobody would give a fuck.
Yeah, it's true.
But because he's Ben Affleck, people have this idea that, like, he should be happier than that. And it's like, come on, man. Like, people are like, think about, like, I live in a world of 3-act structure, and I realize it has really fucked me up for my entire life. 3-act structure is movies.
Yeah.
And they always have an ending that's generally on the happy side. But there's an ending and a conclusion. And when those credits roll, those characters don't have to fucking go back to work on Monday and just have a normal ass fucking day, or then you see them fail, or you see that couple that fell in love fucking like fall apart and shit like that. You don't see that. Movies are happy snapshots, moments and stuff like that. So most people think like somebody like Affleck is like, oh my God, this guy's got it made. He must be happy every fucking second of the day. It's possible.
Oh, I don't think that at all.
Happy.
I think he's probably just a regular dude. I just think it's
100%.
If like that, there's websites and shit. If somebody has you know, suffers from like alcoholism or something, they know that they're, you know, that there's something kind of it's a condition that they would then do that. It just seems egregious to me. Like I wouldn't do that to somebody. Like, oh, this person's has a sickness. Let me show them looking depressed or something. It just seems
neither would I. And generally,
gross.
I don't engage in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I just want to take a moment to shout you out for this. That's very sweet of you, Theo. Like that's most people go in the other direction. People love a train wreck, right? Nobody goes to the train station to see the train come in fucking on time unless you're getting on the fucking train. That ain't interesting. But with a train wreck, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Let's go look at the fucking bodies, as George Carlin would say. So it's nice to hear you go like, I don't like that. Like you got a line where you're like, this guy's got drinking problems or has had drinking problems. This might make him drink again. That's human to think that way. The rest of the world don't think that way. The rest of the world looks at that guy and they go, fuck him. He's got it all.
Yeah.
So
now, if the fucking Pats are winning, fuck him.
I know there are levels and shit like that. Are you a sports guy?
I am a little bit. I got two more questions. Did you? I know you're. Did you?
I apparently have way more questions. I'm like, are you a sports guy?
Did you go to Stan Lee's funeral?
I did not go to Stan Lee's funeral.
Did you think about it? Or I don't know if you guys were even close or anything.
We
I
were
just
very
know
close. I went to Stan Lee's final birthday party, which was in December, the few months before he passed away. Or right before, you know, or he was 95 and he almost made it to 96. So it was his 95th birthday party. I still have pictures on my phone. When they buried him, I didn't get invited, and I'm not saying like, oh, fuck them, they didn't invite me, but there was no like, hey, you could come or anything. But we were fucking close, man. Like in the last year of his life, nobody was close to him because the situation, people kept him away from people. He was there was an elder abuse situation going on. Yeah, that party right there.
Cool,
it was
dude.
December 28th, 2017. Happy birthday. And then he died a few months after that. So, but the last year of his life, it was tough to be around him. And I don't mean tough to be around him because like, what an asshole. I mean, you couldn't get near him. The people who were kind of in charge of him kept everyone away. I couldn't text him anymore, even call him and shit like that. So I didn't have access toward the end. It was a sad ending for Stan. But I realized like toward the end, we did a commercial, an Audi commercial when Age of Ultron was coming out. And the premise of the commercial was like the Stan Lee school of cameo acting. So he would put on like Thor's helmet and be like, this is acting. And then he put on like a random general helmet. He's like, this is cameo acting, because Stan did a lot of cameos and shit. So the whole spot is that, and then he gets in an Audi and drives away. And it's a class. I'm in the class. Jason Mewes is in the class. Michael Rooker's in the class.
might have seen it.
Yeah, it ran like years
did.
and years ago. So we shoot this spot, and I was hanging out with Stan all day. And then we're doing the last shot where car goes past Lou Ferrigno hitchhiking, like at the end of The Incredible Hulk. When
I saw him at the post office once.
Lou Ferrigno?
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Nice. Very nice to me. So Stan's like body man, his business guy, financial guy, came to set to like watch the end of the show, and he was hanging out by monitor, and we were chit chatting, and he was like, "Oh, I love this stuff. I love production." He's going, "Stan's so happy. He always has a good time hanging out with you." And I was like, "Oh, I always like being around Stan too." It just seemed like a nice thing to say. And then the guy like fucking lethal as a heart attack. He goes, "You know, he thinks of you like a son." And I fucking like I was like, "What?" Like, really? And then it occurred to me that like I always thought he was just being nice to me because we put him in Mallrats. Like he was just being Stan, political. Which is like, hey, everybody. You know, everybody's fucking grandpa and shit. But he legit actually liked me as a person. And
when I see that picture, actually, I thought of that for a second, kind of.
He taught me a lot. He taught me a little bit of a father-son vibe, kind of. He taught me how to be me for a living. He didn't sit me down and be like, this is how you be. But this is a dude who, like, you know, it was one thing to be creative, right? Like he co-created most of the Marvel universe, and yes, you know, of course, he worked with great artists like Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby and whatnot. But like the imagination that went into it, this was a man who wanted to write the great American novel. Like I remember talking to him, interviewing him at one point. He was like, "Well, I really wanted to write the great American novel," and I was like, "Stan, you did. Like you just didn't do it as a book. You did it with the Marvel universe. It's our modern fucking mythology." But he wasn't aiming for that.
That's so true.
It's just something he did for money and backed into, and then later on the culture shifted like into his favor because people like comics. But he was like fucking banging the cymbals for comics since I was a kid. I remember my father like calling me out one morning. I was getting ready for school. He goes, "Get inside. Spider-Man's dad is on TV," and it was on Good Morning America talking to like one of the earliest hosts of before even Joan London on Good Morning America about comic books. And here was a grown-ass adult man on television talking about something I was passionate about, something that I knew very well and loved. So I respected the dude right away. I knew his voice even before I saw him and even before I heard his voice in like Spider-Man Has Amazing Friends in every episode because he would write that Stan's soapbox. And in it, he was a salesman. He was an artist, don't get me wrong, and he co-created all those characters. But that don't mean shit. You could make 1 million books and characters and shit. If you don't know how to sell yourself or sell your work, nobody going to hear about it. And that guy, you know, a lot of people are like, he took all the credit himself. I'm not here to address that. All I know is he pushed the medium of comics so far. He was out there in the mainstream. He would go to colleges before anyone respected comic books. When colleges were like, these books, you know, 10, 20 years after Stan wrote these stories, he would be invited to come proselytize, talk about the art form, the emerging art form. And one of the only true American art forms is the fucking comic book, the superhero comic book. So this was a man who was like out there doing the work, like building the fucking rails upon which billion-dollar fucking steamships move now.
I mean, Deadpool doesn't happen if that doesn't happen.
Exactly. And he didn't create Deadpool, nor did he create Wolverine. But he created the playground in which those two characters were created by other creators in the Marvel universe, comics and stuff. So I miss him, man. I learned a lot from him. It's like you can't expect other people to love your shit unless you love it first. You gotta love it the best. That's what I was saying like a long time ago. You're the only audience you can guarantee to satisfy. So if you keep your budget low, real low, and it don't matter, go for it and stuff. But just don't expect the whole world's gonna come. Modify your expectations, like my wife.
So the 4:30 movie, it's about
85 minutes long.
And it touches on like young love, kind of that first moment.
Oh, it's dripping with fucking young love.
God, you remember that? You remember going to your first date movie or not?
At that movie theater, absolutely. The whole movie's about that first date with my high school girlfriend, like Kim Lochran, who Kim Garby now, she's married. But the flick is set at the movie theater, Smart Castle Cinemas that I have with my friends in Jersey, in Atlantic Highlands. You can go to it and go see movies there. We do events there all the time. SmartCastleCinemas.com. Look for events.
It's in Red Bank?
In Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, not far from Red Bank. But in that theater, hanging up like behind the ticket counter, is a note that I wrote to Kim. Kim Lochran wrote to me when we were in high school. And it said, Kevin, will you take me to see Dirty Dancing at the Atlantic Highlands Twin Cinema this Thursday or whatever? Love, Kim. So it's hanging up at the theater because like the note was about that theater. And then I grew up and bought that fucking theater with my friends and kept it alive and stuff. So the movie is aching with like star-crossed first love. And you know, I remember I'd read a review for Pretty in Pink when I was a kid, and it was in the Asbury Park Press, our local paper, and I could never figure out who wrote it. It wasn't the person who reviewed films locally, so it was a wire service review. But of Pretty in Pink, they said, sometimes you just want to enjoy a movie where the biggest stakes are whether or not the kids are going to go to the prom. And that stayed with me since that fucking movie years and years and 40 years ago. So this movie is incredibly low stakes. It's just like, are they going to go on the date or not?
Yeah.
But it's just aching with like that fucking like, oh, what it was like to be a kid in those days before there was social media, before you were kind of isolated on your cell phone. Phones play a big part in the movie, but it's like emergency breakthroughs. Like, and there are cordless phones, but it's like the pull up the thing as you talk, and a lot of fucking push button dialing and stuff. So it's of an era that, like, you know, that I grew up in that kind of shaped me. And most of the movies I've ever made have been about like the 90s, so to speak.
I would love that.
This movie is more about the 80s, takes you back to like 86. So it is. It's really like wears its heart on its fucking sleeve. And the kids in it are amazing. Austin, Nick, Reed, Sienna, like a fantastic cast. When I finished the script, normally when I make a movie, I'm like, script's the best thing about it.
Yeah.
And I always felt that way because I'm like, we can get a cool cast, but it's all predicated on the script. This is the first time I read one of my scripts, and I was like, well, I hope the cast is real good because there's not a lot going on in the script. I said, but if the cast is charming, this movie will work. And the cast is crazy, wonderful, charming. And so if the movie works at all, it's because of them, because of Ken Jeong, because of Justin Long, because of all the people that are in it. But September 13th, you could see it at a theater near you, and then digitally, of course, it'll.
We'll share about it on my socials too, man. I'll make sure that we remember that.
Word?
Yeah, I remember being that age, just praying that my dick would be big. You know, we used to do that all the time. Me and my buddy Scott.
Pray for that. I was always okay with the size, and it wasn't big, but I was like, when did you realize you didn't have a big? Like, why were you praying for something? For all you knew, you had the big.
Well, I think at like 12 or 13, you started praying, or some people started praying about it, like around.
But did you have a size comparison to look at and be like, my dick's not like that?
No, but you just knew people wanted.
How did you just know, Theo?
People said like, oh, you got a little. People would say, oh, what's
why'd you
up?
believe them? You had no proof. Proof's in the pudding. If you're not seeing it, you're not being it. So all this time you've been worried that you got not a big enough. You could have gone home anytime you wanted. All you had to do was click your heels together. You have, for all you know, you got the biggest in the world. You know what? Your show. Whip it out. Let's find out. I'll take out mine, and you're going to feel like a champion. You're going to be like, oh, I'm better than him in this way, too.
Hey, look, you can hide 11 of my behind 1 Celsius can. I'll tell you that.
That's my dream, to be thick as a Celsius can and just as tasty.
Oh, now we're talking.
Yes.
Arctic Blast.
Be very easy to get blown if you taste it like Arctic Blast.
Especially if your wiener had like one of those pop things at the end, like a pop top.
If they could just pop it open. And also, if when they were done, they were going to be like, I'm going to feel energetic because it could burn extra calories. Like,
I'm ready for work. That would change your wife's behavior in the morning, I think.
Truly would. I could. Maybe I could get like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. going on.
God, I'm going to pray about that.
So wait, but you said something before. You don't, right now you're not in a relationship?
No.
When was the last serious relationship you had?
Probably like 4 or 5 years, you know? So I want to be in one.
That's why you're successful, son.
Oh, I feel like I've married
you're
my
like,
work.
fuck love. You're like, I'm married to my job.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So now the job's in a great fucking place. Now you're like, who will I share all this with?
Yeah, now I got to find a wife. I got to get a little bit of help first.
Find a wife.
I got to decompress.
Gotta find a wife. No, you don't need to find a wife. You just need to find somebody.
Yeah.
You don't got to marry him and shit like that.
Yeah,
I mean, you got a lot to protect right now, so don't fucking
find a partner in crime.
Yeah, just find somebody that when you're done doing it, when you're done being Theo, and you know, you just go be Theo.
Yeah, and just have some kids that are your own to play with and stuff.
Oh, God. Be careful, though. When you have kids and you want to hang out with them and you do shit with them, public gets shitty. I put up that thing about beardless, dickless me on my Instagram, and there was somebody who was like, ew, stop forcing your kid down my throat. And it's like, you don't have to fucking listen. It's a free podcast. It's not mandatory.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is like taxes where it's like, you got to do this. It's like, if you don't want to fuck with it, don't fuck with it. It's always amazing to me when like people get hostile and shit like that. There's one guy who's like, this is the weirdest reaction. He goes, I saw a video where you were crying on YouTube and shit, and you went crazy, and you said you were going to stop posting, and now it's give me $1 here, give me $1 here, and you're doing this podcast. So I went through everything he said. I was like, is any of this true? And I did do a YouTube video, but I wasn't crying in it. And I did say I was going to like not fuck with my socials as much, which I didn't for the better part of a year. After I got out of the fucking nut house and shit, I stayed away from that shit so I could try to figure out how I felt about myself, never mind how this random fucker feels about me and shit. And then he was saying that like I asked for $1 here and there. It's not true. I was advertising a free fucking podcast. And I was about to respond. And then I was like, you know, you've been around so fucking long You know the game. Why are you even fucking wasting a second, man? So I just deleted that shit, moved on with my day. It's like they taught me in the nut house, man. Like there's two places that human beings love to exist. And they're two least healthy places for a human being to be. The past and the future. The condition of the human being is such that we spend so much of our time thinking about what we've done and what went wrong and what could have and should have happened and our regret. And we relitigate the past like we're expert fucking lawyers and barristers and shit like that. And so we're not here in the moment. We're in the past going like, oh, remember I said that shit? And why didn't that person say hi that time? And fucking, man, how come that dude's doing it and I'm not? Why are they ahead of me and shit like that? That's all fucking stuff you can't do anything about. Past happened. You can't rewrite that. You can't change it.
Yeah.
Fucking maybe if you're Tony Stark, you can go back and change it. And then Endgame happens. But you cannot fucking change the past. So stay out of the fucking past because the past is depression. Future is anxiety because nobody controls that shit. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And you can't sit there. We're a lot of people you meet and be like, you should write a story. Like, I ain't creative like you. Bullshit. Everybody in this audience is way more creative than me. As fine a writer than me, if not better, when it comes to imagining a dire future for themselves. We are all the most creative and inventive fucking individuals when we're thinking about all the shit that could go wrong. We build scenarios, crazy scenarios about this happens and this and this and this, and we live in them. They're so fucking real. The body remembers. There's a book called The Body Remembers, which is about trauma and how the body stores trauma, scientifically proven. Body remembers trauma. So then later on in life, when you think about the trauma, guess what? The body remembers it and it revisits it through the amygdala and shit like that. So when you've got PTSD, that's why people get the shakes or fucking have to be away from people and stuff. That's real. Physically, the body remembers fucking trauma and stuff like that. So the best way past all that shit, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But stay out of the past, God damn it, and stay out of the future because you can't do anything about it. All that fucking, like, think about this. All that, like, oh my God, this is going to happen and this happens and everything fucking goes wrong and I lose again and shit.
Oh, yeah, it's a nightmare.
It's not true, though. It's all fiction that you're just making up. You're going to make some future shit up because that's what it is. You don't know what's going to happen. Flip the script and just fucking make up all happy, fucking goofy ass, unbelievable shit.
Yeah, at least make up some good shit for yourself.
Dude, it has as much likelihood as fucking happening. That's the truth. It ain't even fucking fantasy. It's like you're already, not you, but the collective you. You're already living in fantasy if you're like, no, only bad shit happens. You're already fucking weaving a fantastic fucking tale that is untrue and it's based on no facts whatsoever. So if you can do that, just fucking change it to like, you know what? Marvel calls me all of a sudden. I'm directing the next fucking Avengers movie. Yeah. It has just as much a chance of happening as the negative bullshit. So if we can't live in the past or shouldn't live in the past and it's unhealthy and we shouldn't live in the future, if past is depression, the future anxiety, there's only one place to be. We have no choice. Be here in the present. But so often we're not in the fucking present, man. Nobody wants to be in this moment. They want to be there. Everyone's headed to a place and then everyone's obsessing about where we've been. Kids, this is what they taught me in the nut house. I'm going to save you a lot of fucking money and time and shit like that. Be here and now. Be mindful. Breathe. The easiest way to do that, if your head's going crazy and you're in the fucking future and shit and you're worrying about some bad bullshit, if you're in the past worrying about some old fucking shit that happened, what you need to do is just this. It's crazy shit, free as fuck. Breathe. Okay. You go. Just breathe in and out 5 times, deep breaths. And you know what it does? It grounds you. Do you know why? Because you cannot breathe in the past and you cannot breathe in the future. You can only breathe in the here and now. So by breathing, you bring yourself back to the moment. You pull yourself out of that fake future that you're fretting about. You pull yourself out of that horrendous past that you're still traumatized by. And you're here now. And you can sit there and go like, well, wait, is anything wrong? No. My body's reacting to some shit I was thinking about because the body stores trauma. And I just did this to myself. I created this condition. You could pull yourself out of that. I'm not saying this is a cure for everything. Some people go through real shit. But when you're in your head, that ain't real shit. And you may have gone through real shit in your life, but when you're in your head fretting about it, you are making up a fucking fiction. You don't recognize the fucking future.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't even recognize it.
And you work yourself up. The body fucking, dude, I had a fucking heart attack. And yes, I had a heart attack because I had fucking packed, LAD full of cholesterol and shit like that. People could put themselves in. They say stress is the number one killer. Get you to that hard
Stress
time.
will kill me.
And stress is created by sitting around going like, oh, fucking, what if it don't work out, man? It never work out because it never worked out in the past. Remember that fucking time you tried that thing and it didn't work? You're a fucking asshole. You got to put that shit away. Flip the script and be like, I'm in the here and now. If you can't do that and you got to be in the future, just make up a better future. It has just as much a likelihood as coming true as the fake bullshit that you're fretting about and it's ruining your life.
At least be an author for the best for yourself.
You're going to make it up. Make up good shit.
Kevin Smith, 4:30 movie comes out September 13th, and
my podcast with my kid
and the Smodcast Network.
Beardless, no, it's on
Beardless
iHeart.
Dickless.
iHeart Network. Beardless Dickless Me. I took all my shit behind a paywall years ago, all my podcasts and shit. So this is the first one I'm going out in the world and seeing like, what would it be like if I had infrastructure? And the good folks at iHeart were like, do it here. So I was like, all right. So Beardless Dickless Me. Funny. It's funny. I just sit around and try to make her fucking laugh. I know some people are like, ew, fuck you and your happy kid.
No, I think that's sweet.
It is. It's kind of
thank you, man. Thanks for all the entertainment. Thanks for all the trying your best to be yourself through your medium. And so many people have enjoyed so much your work over the years.
You're like, I'm not one of them, but I appreciate the fact that it exists.
We've all enjoyed your work over the years.
Dude, you're going to be in that next Jay and Silent Bob movie.
And
like serious.
Oh,
like,
selling the weed.
No, I didn't say that. Don't start writing the part.
Okay, sorry.
Like that. I'll take care of that. No, but you got to play Jay's brother. I'm telling you, Jay's vibe is so similar. I guarantee you in the comments, kids in his comments should be like, oh my God, fucking you and Jay. Like sometimes you ever watch a movie or TV show and they do like a familial pairing, like a mother and daughter. You're like, that shit is fucking 100% on. I put you next to Jay in a movie and you both talk, 100%.
Wow.
You're Jay's long lost brother who just was raised in the South and shit.
Yeah.
Or your twang is from South Jersey.
Yeah.
I did that joke in the movie. I'll do it again.
A lot of times people in Louisiana get accuse them from being from New Jersey. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you for having, man. Thank you for letting me talk as much as I did. And apologies to anybody who tuned in to listen to Theo talk because I feel like I did most of the talking.
Dude, you know what's so funny? It's a blessing. I was kind of tired today, and I'm grateful that you spoke.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Fucking. Honestly, that's 100% meaningful to me. Number one, that's fucking crazy real. And number two, I know what that means as a person who's done this a bunch and shit. It's just like, he's coming in, all right, like I like him, and he made Clerks, all right, but I ain't feeling up to it today. So the fact that I was on Motormouth and you were like, this works for me, 100%. Anytime you don't feel like working, you want me to I'll just sit here and talk the whole time, and you can fucking sit there and be present in the moment and breathe.
And sorry the AC wasn't working. The coldest thing in here. It wasn't. The coldest thing in here is that Celsius cooler.
Are you kidding me?
We had it open earlier.
That's the coldest and the coolest thing fucking in here. Actually, you're the coolest thing in here. Fucking Celsius cooler, second coolest.
Well, you're cool too, man.
Thanks, man. I did that. I said it just so you would say that back.
On Kevin
Pull
Smith.
that shit, putting on my Instagram. Theo Vaughn said I was cool.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks for having me.
I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone. Oh, but when I reach that ground, I'll share this peace of mind I found. I can feel it in my bones.